The GTA trailer hasn't even been out for 3 days yet, and it's already problematic. The public discourse around this game is fitting for a radio segment with Laszlo.
Next up, it's the radio host who's been run out of Vice City and San Andreas. It's Laszlo with Chatterbox.
What? Hey, welcome to Chatterbox with me, Laszlo, and you, the good citizens of this town. Now, you know the format of the show. You call me up, you complain, we agree the world's terrible and retarded, there's nothing we can do about it, and we listen to some commercials. That's right, hey, it's the American media. If you don't like it, you're in for a pretty bumpy ride. Now, this is the show that gives Liberty City a voice. You know, pre-screened over the phone.
Hello, Laszlo. My son, Mort, is trying to play a game called Grand Theft Auto 6, and I find it to be very problematic, homophobic, and transphobic. This game is really ruining my son's chances of getting into Harvard and Yale. He yelled at me this morning when I told him to turn it off. He called me a stupid fat bitch. I was so shocked and amazed that I fell down the stairs and my shoes fell off.
Darius Fontaine, look, I told you to leave me alone.
I guess it was bound to happen. The trailer hit 100 million views in 48 hours.
Well, then everyone loses their minds.
This game is literally fentanyl for most young Americans, it seems. And I say, let the good times roll. An opinion piece was posted on a website called Dazed. This proves whoever wrote it was dazed and confused while looking for validation and victimhood points. This is officially my new favorite wallet brand, Exter. They're the world's largest small wallet brand. By the fact 100 million people watched the video in like 48 hours, I'd say it's a resounding yes.
With the release of Grand Theft Auto 6 now officially announced, writer Hannah Strong explores why this series is so problematic and remains so incredibly popular.
It's fun.
The ironic thing is I opened this segment by saying it was problematic to be facetious, but there are people who really do view it this way. It's really hard to do satire these days.
I'm not going to bore you with the details of all this, so let's just skip to the part where she starts bitching.
But is there still a place for the bloody, often deeply misogynistic, anti-sex work and transphobic worldview?
Because, like, when you start learning about systems...
Everything is sexist.
Everything is racist.
Everything is
homophobic.
And you have to point it
all out.
Perpetuated by Grand Theft Auto in 2023? We're post-Gamergate, post-Me Too, and yet women are still struggling to be seen or heard within the gaming industry. Violence against women and transgendered people continues to dominate global headlines. It doesn't feel like the gaming world has become a more accepting place, at least at the AAA level. The trailer for GTA 5 showcases the franchise's first fully playable female protagonist since the original Grand Theft Auto. Meanwhile, Rockstar has allegedly made positive shifts to clean up its frat boy corporate culture. Still, it's hard to imagine what a version of GTA that isn't a cis male power fantasy might look like. Growing up playing video games, I expected them to have some level of misogyny or homophobia baked into them. But a decade after GTA's release, the video game world is more diverse and exciting than ever.
The times when you get to be legitimately violent against women is one of the joys in life.
If video games are more fun to this person, then it's clear that gaming has truly fallen and it sucks as much as I
am not reading the rest of this, too. I'm so tired of reading these sort of fluff pieces from human beings that have never been punched in the face. People that have never starved. People that don't know what it's like to get kicked out of a house or live on the streets. The whiniest human beings are the ones that have faced the least adversity. Change my mind.
Jack Hickle on Twitter ripped into GTA 5 with the hashtag ban GTA 6. Did I say 5? Who cares? Not fixing it. Wait, what? What is he saying?
Why are at Rockstar Games releasing this sexual video game for children in America? Get GTA banned trending right now.
Ah, yes, it's those pesky Jews again, huh? This dude is acting like GTA 6 is Peppa Pig. It literally says in the description of the trailer that this is not suitable for kids. It's rated M. It's not to be sold to children, Jack. What the hell's your problem?
If you stand with...
I can't say it because if I say it, then I'll get flagged by YouTube's retarded system because it doesn't even understand context. Keep GTA 6 ban trending. What does this have to do with the war in the... Why does everything have to be political? You want to know what my problem is with GTA? And South Park, for that matter. They're hitting too close to home. We are so clown shoes in this country that I feel like I'm living in a Onion article come to life, or another headline from the Babylon Bee. Jaded YouTuber who's world-weary navigates through the cesspit of online discourse with the mentally ill constantly ranting and raving as he tries to prove to Amazon workers, much like George Michaels in the 1980s, to choose life and to deliver that 2-day package.
I need some Corey Feldman music to cleanse my palate.
Drama Alert also tweeted again. GTA 6's female protagonist might be non-binary. What pronouns do you think Lucia uses?
And of course, they get corrected by context.
Lucia looks like a they-them to me. Do you agree or disagree with our speculation about Lucia's gender identity?
Everyone disagrees.
Tell me you know nothing about the Latin community without telling me you know nothing about the Latin community. Doing the pronoun game with Latins is a good way to get your feelings hurt, especially Latin women. The only Latin people that bother with Latinx are Twitch streamers and white progressives. Every other Latin American, South American, etc. looks at this as insulting.
If Drama Alert isn't reposting viral videos days after they've gone up on other platforms, it's goofy-ass tweets like these for rage bait. Lucia was literally trans according to Drama Alert a day ago. Now it's non-binary. When the game drops, she'll be heteronormative. Is that what they call it? Whatever. Or they'll just pretend she's gay anyway and call her an icon. Of course, conservatives had to weigh in on GTA 6 and continue to lose the culture war by having talking points straight out of 1990. Look out, it's Mortal Kombat! It's making the kids want to learn karate and rip out each other's spines.
Grand Theft Auto 5, now 10 years later, has over 185 million games in circulation, with more than $8 billion in revenue since it came out. Well, Grand Theft Auto 6 is set to debut a little over a year out, and they're already anticipating a $3.5 billion opening sale. Now, aside from the fact that I think video games melt your brain and they're stupid,
2 years for GTA 6.
What does this say about us as a society that the #1 selling video game is titled after a felony, Grand Theft Auto, centers around violence against women, picking up hookers, beating up random bystanders, and shooting at cops?
It's wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful.
The irony is that as a society, we're being neutered already and taught that words are violence, and if you call somebody the wrong pronoun, you can cause PTSD. Dr. Grinspoon, what do you make of this, and what is this doing to our kids?
Well, what do I make of it? The same things that make it sort of inappropriate for the kids, the sexuality, the violence.
This is funny. He's gay!
Sometimes there are even drugs in these games, are what make it so popular and so enticing. It's sort of like forbidden fruit. And I worry mostly about the violence and about how kids can get really desensitized to violence. I also worry about these games are so engaging and compelling. I worry about the addictiveness. There are other injuries you can get, like thumb injuries, carpal tunnel syndrome, tennis elbow. There are a lot of, insomnia, obesity. There are a lot.
What a lovely video. With enough boomer energy, I almost thought housing was affordable. Pretending that GTA 6 is a cultural problem in a country where Sexy Red isn't seen as a parody or a pariah, or the fact that most parents hand their toddlers cell phones or iPads to pacify them so mommy can continue her self-healing journey in peace, it's astonishing. Most kids have seen wilder shit on their mobile device by...
The course concluded on Saturday, 1st July 1944, with a celebration party, the CSM having conjured up a few barrels of beer, schnapps and some sides of pig for an outdoor grill. Beforehand, our group of 60 fell in to hear their results. Each man was called forward individually, first the 4 who had failed and were being returned to unit, then those who had passed, beginning in reverse order with the 56th. After a handshake from the CSM, each man received his personal rifle with optic, a Wehrpass bearing the registration number of his Ziefgewehr, a certificate confirming his success and final position in class, and a parchment in Gothic lettering reading, German sniper, impress upon yourself these 10 rules. Fight fanatically. You are a people hunter. Shoot calmly and deliberately without haste. The hit rewards you. The deadliest opponent is the enemy sniper. Always reckon with him and attempt to outfox him. Never fire more than once from your position. The entrenching tool lengthens your life. Trench digging spares blood. Practice distance estimation constantly. Be a master of camouflage and in use of terrain. Maintain your shooting skills through constant practice even when away from the front. Never let your sniper's rifle out of your hand and give it careful upkeep. A perfectly functioning weapon is your strength and safety. After being wounded, your return to the front is preceded by a fresh sniper's course to sharpen your faculties. Your goal should be the sniper's badge, awarded to the best. I finished in second place and so won an ammunition crate full of delicacies, wine, cigarettes, chocolate, cold meats and so forth. At least I would not arrive home for leave empty-handed. The act of receiving the rifle with optic made one a sniper officially. Yet while the inexperienced man swelled with pride at his elite status, we veterans looked ahead with foreboding. Most of the course participants were already rattling to the Eastern Front aboard a supply train next day, while I went home by lorry. I had given my family brief warning of my arrival, and my parents and sisters were expecting me. Once inside the front door, I took my sniper rifle from my shoulder and rested it carefully against the wall. Producing from my rucksack the edible evidence of my success, it was the chocolate wrapped in red tinfoil that really broke the tension of the moment. My father's workshop had ensured that my family continued well fed. Pressed to reminisce, at the table I related a few anecdotes of a soldier's life at the front, which was, so I assured them, an exciting, sometimes tense adventure, spiced with not a little danger at times. In fact, the type of life any young man might wish for himself. Afterwards I lay in bed, unable to sleep, unable to dislodge the lie stuck in my throat. Next day I helped my father in the workshop to take my mind off the war. We worked in silent harmony. He had served as a Gebirgsjäger in the Austro-Hungarian army during the Great War and understood my mood. He had gone to war rejoicing, only for its iron fist to crush his spirit. He returned home years later, a sober, wiser man. The few days in the bosom of my family flew by.
Call me if you need me.
Friends and school classmates were absent, all either in the Wehrmacht or fallen for Greater Germany. Our village families looked towards an uncertain future. The controlled press spoke in terms of eventual victory, but all could read between the lines. A new term, an elastic command policy on all fronts, could only mean retreat. The Western Allies, now radiating out from Normandy, were encroaching towards the Reich from France in the west and Italy in the south. In the east, the Russians had unwrapped a massive offensive against Army Group Center. Within the last 4 weeks, the pressure on the German armies had intensified beyond the point where there was any hope of withstanding it. On 13 July 1944, my father offered me his hand in farewell, his face carved in stone. My mother and sisters had dissolved in tears and were lost for words. Resolutely, I turned towards the east. It was all now in the hands of the fates. In a way, it was a relief to get back to the Romanian front. During my leave, I saw a world at peace where there was none. I had become estranged from civilian life. At the front, I knew what had to be done. My company, my regiment, these were the family and the road, if necessary, to the bitter end. At the terminus of the line, I alighted together with 7 travelling companions. An Opel Blitz lorry was waiting at the station for dispatches and gave us a lift to battalion headquarters at a place called Bistritz. I knew the driver. Alois was a long-serving NCO who kept his ear to the ground. He told me something was brewing. When he fetched the regimental commander, I overheard talk about a Hungarian intelligence report. The Russians were preparing a major offensive, and it was reported that our Romanian ally was ready to defect. Army Group Center had come under pressure, and 6th Army, which held the line together, was threatened with encirclement. Alois drew out a bottle of Osler from beneath the driving seat. We drank directly from the neck. The journey continued thus, snatches of conversation interspersed with drink. I could tell that something wasn't right. Alois gabbled about the summer weather they had been having, a nice relationship with the adjoining Romanian frontier unit, and about personnel and material supplies which had brought the regiment almost back to strength. When we finally reached battalion headquarters, he invited me to meet the Romanian frontier infantry that evening. Occasionally there were girls there. Apparently all I needed was charm and a gift of black bread, and they would be putty in my hands. I promised to think about it. Duty came first. I reported my return from leave to the CSM of the battalion staff company. Hauptmann Kloss was in the room and seemed genuinely pleased to see me. "You've come just at the right time. We need every good man we can lay our hands on," he said. He joked about the harshness of the course, having made a good sniper of me, and then suddenly warned that within a few days, Ivan was going to turn us into Christmas stuffing. "And another thing," he added, "the Romanians are up to no good. I fear they may change sides." The regimental staff received a telex from Foreign Armies East, which reported Hungarian sources at the highest level as saying a Romanian resistance group has been formed. Apparently, they are negotiating with the Russians. OKH is not convinced, but personally, I think there is something in it. So, do me a favor and stay clear of the Romanians. He shuffled through a sheaf of papers and produced a certificate and a small item wrapped in brown paper, which he passed to me, offering his hand at the observation. "I congratulate you on being awarded the Infantry Assault Badge." He slapped my back and sat at his desk. "Have a look round first, then we'll talk again tomorrow." Shouldering my rifle and pack, I wandered through the dispatch runner's bunker looking for familiar faces. To my dismay, I found few, a mere sprinkling among the new arrivals, half of whom would not survive the coming offensive. At the end of my rounds, I called in on the regimental armourer. My first question was naturally about the young sniper to whom my Russian sniper rifle had been entrusted. "That young man met a bad end," the sergeant replied gravely. "It was fairly quiet here in the last couple of weeks. Just the odd reconnaissance sortie. You know the drill, have a snoop round, bring back a prisoner for questioning and so on, convince them we're still up for it. Anyway, he went out alone on the hunt too soon. We don't know exactly what happened except that he failed to return at the appointed time that evening. 4 days later, one of the patrols found his body, swollen like a balloon in the heat. He must have fallen into their hands and failed to get rid of his rifle in time." He shook his head as he reflected on the horror he was about to convey. Can you imagine what Ivan does to a sniper whom he finds in possession of a Russian rifle with loads of notches on the stock? The corpse was green and blue with 1,000 knife cuts. Finally, they cut off his balls and stuffed them in his mouth. Then they rammed the barrel of the rifle up his rectum as far as the backside. His death must have been sheer hell. The boys who found him in no man's land buried him straight away. When they got back and recovered, they were all for going out again to take revenge. He paused for breath and continued. "Seb, can you imagine what it's going to be like when these rapists and murderers get to the Reich?" Laying a fatherly hand on my shoulder, he stared me in the eye earnestly. "We're fighting for survival, to the last bullet, and when that's gone, to the last entrenching tool." Death was routine, and the incident did not disturb me particularly, although in the light of the atrocity, I decided to abandon the practice of notching up each kill on the rifle stock and considered how to remove every outward sign that I was a sniper. The pressure from the north on the Carpathian front was growing ever stronger. 3rd GD commanders were doing whatever possible to strengthen their overstretched sector. The Romanians were integrated into our defensive line. In early August, the Soviets initiated their first systematic nuisance raids, and on 19 August 1944, laid an artillery barrage on neighbouring GJR 138 prior to an assault. The Romanians put up no resistance and were flattened. GJR 138 was pincered. They fought desperately to break free, and the few reserves at division were thrown hastily and at considerable strategic risk into the fray. After 4 days of bitter fighting, the encirclement crumbled and the front line restabilized. My battalion, 144, was not involved and had only a few skirmishes. Almost every night I went out on patrol in no man's land. I often noticed small enemy groups disappear into the Romanian lines. Significantly, this was never followed by any sounds of fighting. By the third day, when I was sure there was a conspiracy afoot, I reported my observations to the battalion commander. Shit, Kloss said. So there is something in the rumours after all. Sepp, it will happen. You'll see. The Romanians are going to stab us in the back. Ignoring the reports of their commanders on the spot, OKH remained unimpressed by claims that Romania was about to defect from the Axis. It is difficult to understand how they can have arrived at the contrary conclusion, for a host of pointers had indicated a change in sentiment on the part of the Romanians from the summer of 1944 onwards. Pro-German commanders had been replaced by anti-German, and the flow of information to German command centres had slackened noticeably and taken on a contradictory nature. Inadequate armed, equipped and supplied, Romanian troops had taken extremely heavy losses on the Eastern Front, were burnt out and far more war-weary than their German allies. The Russian invasion of their country was imminent, and they felt helpless to do anything to prevent it. When the Russian offensive against Army Group Ukraine South began with the objective of encircling 6th Army, 2 Romanian armies defending the southern flank were overrun in a single day and night and put to flight in disorder. Since Stalingrad, the Romanian monarch and opposition parties had been negotiating a separate peace treaty in secret with the Soviets, but the terms were so drastic that no agreement had been possible. Since June 1944, however, Romania had edged closer under the impetus of their own communist faction. A plan to break with Germany coinciding with the Russian offensive against Army Group South had been drawn up, and on 23rd August 1944, in realistic acceptance of the hopelessness of the situation and the threat to Romania's borders, the Romanian king assented to an armistice and switched his allegiance. That same evening, Romanian forces were ordered to cease hostilities against the Soviet Union forthwith and to pin down German forces in order to prevent their resisting the Russian attack. The changeover had immediate effect. The German ambassador and high command in Romania were informed that, contrary to the terms of the Romanian-Russian treaty, the Wehrmacht would be permitted to withdraw all its forces, weapons and equipment free of attack, provided the Germans left at once. Hitler dismissed the offer out of hand and ordered hostilities to be commenced against Romania, a fatal error in view of the plight of 6th Army, for he now had a war on 2 fronts locally, which was bound to result in heavy losses in men and material. These could not be replaced and would lead to a complete breakdown. By 30 August, Army Group Ukraine South had been virtually wiped out, a third Stalingrad for the German army in terms of its losses. 3rd GD now had an additional enemy to the Russians, for the Romanian people had split into 2 factions, those who supported the change, future partisans against the Wehrmacht, and those who remained loyal to the Axis and continued to side with the Germans as military or refugees. The Romanian-Russian Pact of 23rd August 1944 was concluded on a fine day of high summer. Our regiment had anxieties about the situation of 6th Army and Army Group Ukraine South to the north of us, but GJR 144 lay along a peaceful sector of the front with no enemy presence. At midday at battalion headquarters, I met Alois, the lorry driver, who was about to make a courier run. He renewed his invitation to me to socialize with the neighboring Romanian unit that evening. remarking that drink would be freely available, and so I agreed to come. Alois told me how to get there and called from his cab window in parting, "See you at 8. Don't get shot dead in the meantime." It was shortly before 9 that evening, sniper rifle at my shoulder, that I made my way through thick woodland towards the meeting place. Although 2 kilometers behind the front line, I maintained a constant awareness of my surroundings, an innate faculty that had often saved my bacon. I had reached the bend in the path, which descended into the Romanian positions, when I heard some odd noises, very exciting, raised voices, and suppressed cries and groans, which filled the still air of that warm evening. I disappeared at once into the undergrowth. About 50 meters from the bend was a small elevation which provided a view of the Romanian position, and peering through thick bush at the summit, I found myself looking down into a valley bottom about the size of a football field where the Romanian border troops were dug in. Through my binoculars, I saw 5 Jager, one of whom was Alois, at the end of the woodland path about 100 meters away, surrounded by Romanians and 2 Russians. The Germans were bound and about to be interrogated. For this purpose, there was a Romanian interpreter who relayed the questions of the Russians to the German prisoners. The answers were apparently unsatisfactory, for one of the Soviets pushed the interpreter aside and began to jab at the Yuger's face with a rifle butt. A group of Romanians were standing around the scene, and I could see by their expressions that they did not approve. Next, a Romanian officer appeared and remonstrated with his men. This had no apparent effect until he drew a pistol, which motivated the NCOs in the group to drive the remainder back to their positions. The officer then appeared to suggest to the inquisitors that they should conduct the proceedings in a less exposed area. At the foot of the slope to the right of my hiding place was the latrine block, and the prisoners were led behind the weatherboarded rear wall out of sight of the compound, which was better for me. The distance was about 80 meters. The 5 German prisoners were in the hands of 2 Russians and 2 Romanians, plus the interpreter. The captors decided to concentrate on Alois, and after a few violent kicks, punches and more jabs with the rifle butt, he collapsed to the ground. They untied his wrists, dragged him to the latrine wall and spread his left hand on a ledge. The Russian leader withdrew a pistol from its holster and smashed the stock down on Alois' outstretched fingertips. Alois screamed in a mixture of rage and pain. I felt a wild urge to take action, but suppressed it. I had to wait for the right moment. A hasty reaction could be fatal for us all, and in any case, I had to report the changed situation regarding the Romanians to battalion headquarters. I could not do this if I was dead or captured. Therefore, I bided my time and considered feverishly how best to help my 5 colleagues, hoping that the other side would see sense and simply take them off as prisoners of war. In order to silence his cries, Alois was gagged. His suffering was obviously the example to the others to reveal whatever it was that the inquisitors wished to know. Despite the encouragement of beatings, they failed to provide the required information, and so the fingertips of Alois' right hand received the same treatment as the left. As he writhed in agony, the questioning of the other 4 was resumed. I had prepared a rest for the barrel of my rifle and positioned it to my satisfaction. As I watched, the Soviet torturer ripped open Alois' tunic and trousers, took out a pocket knife and opened it, then waved it threateningly in the faces of the 4 kneeling German soldiers. After some shouting and yelling, the Romanian interpreter shrugged his shoulders in resignation. At this, the Russian bent down to Alois, slit open his abdomen, and through the wound brought out about a meter's length of intestine. Alois' screams of pain were audible despite the gag. I had seen many terrible sights in this war, but this was the worst to date, and it had gone far enough. The situation was too much for the Romanian interpreter, for he drew his pistol and put Alois out of his suffering with 2 quick shots to the head. At this, a shouting match broke out at the latrine between the Russians and the Romanians. Both Russians drew their pistols. The 4 German survivors, hands bound behind their backs, looked on, eyes large in panic, from their enforced kneeling position. The Russian torturer threatened the Romanian interpreter with the pistol, then aimed it at the nearest German prisoner and shot him in the face. The lifeless body remained kneeling upright for a few moments before toppling sideways. The important thing for a sniper in such a situation is to control his emotions. The two Russians had to be killed, not in rage, but professionally. I took the first Russian in my sights, held my breath, concentrated calmly, took up pressure on the trigger and pulled smoothly. The bullet tore through the chest of the target and threw him backwards like a rag doll. The second looked around in surprise. His face came into my sights and I fired. 2 dead. The main job was completed. The Romanian interpreter had quickly sized up the problem and cleared the chest-high latrine wall like an Olympic high jumper, his fall broken by the...
I'm sorry, Sith. I couldn't do what you said. I just couldn't.
You were right to tell us, Ashara. The Jedi Enclave is no place for Sith, and this one gives me an uneasy feeling.
Please, I believe I can cleanse the Enclave of the Ghost.
We've been trying for months to cleanse this Enclave. This is not a flippant matter. I won't have dark side rituals performed in this Enclave.
You killed them! You killed the Masters!
I'm sorry, but they gave me no choice. They attacked me.
You tried to turn me to the dark side, and you have the nerve to claim self-defense? Master Ryan, Master Osera, what have I done? What have I done?
I understand you're upset, but we have a ghost to deal with.
You're right. There is no emotion. There's peace. I guess there's nothing left to do now but summon the ghost.
Child, I thought I told you never to summon me again!
Excellent. Truly remarkable. My lord, you are utterly clever and resourceful. Thank you so much for clearing out the Jedi for us.
If this is what I think it is, know that I don't take kindly to betrayal.
I'm sorry it had to end this way, but you were dead, and Darth Thanaton made a better offer. He's made me a lord. Unfortunately, he's also asked that you be executed. My regrets.
What's this bloodshed in my grave? I warned you not to summon me again. I warned you to leave me in peace. To keep your Jedi away from my grave.
Please, I'm sorry. This Sith needed to speak with you.
Your apology is worthless. You must die.
She only summoned you because I asked her to.
What is happening? What are you... Strange. How long has it been since I felt at peace? Centuries, at least. What do you want that you went through all this effort to speak to me?
If you will let me bind you, I promise to free you when my enemies are defeated.
Will it get me out of this accursed enclave with its artifacts of the light? Then I accept. Seal the pact with blood, Sith, and my power is yours.
I will remember your generosity.
My strength is yours, Sith. Use it well.
Sith, what did you just do?
I took the power that was rightfully mine.
What happens now?
Embrace the dark side. Come with me.
I suppose after all this, that's the only path open to me. Masters, forgive me.
Wardahay Wistai Rojans.
Trench of semi-solids on the far side. Instead of taking cover, the other two Romanians fired off wild MP bursts towards the woods, nowhere near me, and presented no danger. My third shot catapulted one of them against the latrine wall. By now the compound was in uproar. Covered in feces from head to toe, the interpreter was running from the foul trench into which he had fallen. An MG gave him covering fire, the projectiles whistling too close for comfort. I could do nothing further for the surviving 3 Jaeger. It was my duty to raise the alarm. Like a ghost, I vanished into the forest, avoiding the pathways and moving through the bushes. When I reached headquarters, it was already a hive of activity. I was admitted at once to the commander's office and reported in brief sentences. Although I omitted the details, it was obvious to Kloss what had occurred. "Damn," was all he said, and in great excitement attempted to telephone regimental headquarters at Borka, 10 kilometers north, and neighboring units. Kloss was already in receipt of information that Romanian units integrated into the German defensive system had turned on adjoining companies and taken prisoners. My report provided the final confirmation that Romania was an enemy. Regimental headquarters was clearly taken aback and had nothing to recommend, promising only to have the situation clarified at divisional headquarters. Kloss managed to warn 144 of JAR before the telephone network was sabotaged. Each unit was now cut off and forced to act independently, as had happened so frequently in recent months. Our battalion had been lucky this time. Forewarned, runners were sent out to all companies of 144, alerting them to the danger, and no Romanian ruse succeeded. Many others suffered severe losses from Romanian treachery. Their troops would approach our unsuspecting positions with outward friendliness, then open fire without warning. Partisan-type fighting groups were built up around a nucleus of Russian agents and encouraged to strike with the utmost brutality. This caused panic in our lines, for it was impossible to know the difference between friend and foe. One of these partisan outfits approached 144 with their customary smiles and waves, their weapons not slung from the shoulder but carried baby fashion in the arms. We shot them down to the last man the instant they made their move. The overall position became very precarious with the onset of nightfall. Although the Romanians lacked heavy infantry weapons, their numbers could wear us down. In these difficult hours, GJR 144 became the backbone of 3rd GD resistance and the hub of its reorganization. Survivors from far-flung companies fought through to the regiment to swell its numbers, and next morning hastily formed regimental assault units, inspired by rage and indignation at the treachery of their former ally, went on a berserk drive for revenge. No prisoners were taken, and even if we had wanted to, the Romanians had destroyed the logistical situation. I accompanied one such group. The Carbine with optical sight interfered with movement during search and destroy missions of this kind. On my return from leave, I had discovered that the regiment had a small stock of Model 43 semi-automatic rifles, and after trying out a couple had selected the best, which the Weapons and Supply NCO guarded with his life. Using explosive rounds over distances up to 100 meters, its performance was awesome. Within a few days, the general area was cleared of Romanian troops and the front stabilized. At the same time, 6th Army to our north was being slaughtered while the Russians had besieged Bucharest and the Plosti oil fields in the south of the country. 3rd GD projected into the Russian front like a thorn, and it took no great stretch of the imagination to see that once they had mopped us to the north, we were next on their shopping list. Our front extended for 30 kilometers from the Aral Pass to the town of Bistrici Dara. On 27 August 1944, the Russians attacked along this broad front, and within a few days their offensive had taken under fire all Carpathian passes to the Siebenbürgen tableland held by 3rd GD. GJR 144 was of special importance and used as a fire-fighting unit, deployed to every hotspot as it came under pressure and forcing open, dangerous encirclements to allow trapped companies to escape. Used generally as infantry but trained as mountain troops, our regiment operated over terrain it knew well and had the tactical edge over the Russians. On the other hand, we were outnumbered by 20 to 1, and however well we fought, the writing was on the wall. One of our units had become trapped between Russians and Romanians in a Carpathian mountain pass. An assault platoon had been formed to relieve it, and I came along as sniper escort. The Romanians were 10 strong, armed with a heavy machine gun and rifles. They were inferior to the German force, but had a good field of fire from well-dug-in positions. Overall, they must have been very confident of their own safety. We were favoured by thick woodland for our approach, but were unacquainted with the patch of terrain around which the Romanians were lodged. The platoon sergeant and I made an observation of the enemy group through field glasses, and drew some comfort from the fact that our arrival had not been detected, giving us the decisive element of surprise. We fell upon our erstwhile ally like a rainstorm from a cloudless sky. Hand grenades, followed by bursts of MP fire and single, accurate sniper rounds, transformed their safe position within seconds into a simmering witch's cauldron from which there was no escape. The problem of the German unit ahead was not solved by the eradication of the Romanians, for to retreat they required to cross an open plain 100 meters or so in length, overlooked by the Russians and within range of their weapons.
Wow,
At first, they must have been dismayed to hear the sound of battle at their backs, then overjoyed to see the field grey uniforms of their relief. I watched their excited conversation and gestures through binoculars. As we tried to envisage a way out of the predicament, a heavy mortar opened up. The Soviets had obviously called up heavy weapons to remove the obstruction to their passage through the pass. The men of the trapped unit threw themselves down as the bombs hissed over. The salvo was aimed at the forward defensive position and fell short. With dull explosions, it churned up the earth. Each succeeding salvo fell nearer and nearer yet. Through binoculars, I saw their panic-stricken faces. We were condemned to inactivity, and the defenders' only chance to escape being blown to shreds was a long dash across open country. Shortly before the first mortars exploded in the main positions, the occupants had jumped up and run pell-mell towards us. They were picked off one by one with rifle fire, for instead of running in wild zigzags, they tried to make the edge of the wood by sprinting in a straight line. I recognized at once the handiwork of a Russian sniper armed with a semi-automatic. I had seen examples of the Tokarev 40 and had even tested a captured specimen for myself. Although not as accurate as the Walther 43, its action was more reliable and gave the experienced sharpshooter a much increased rate of fire. Our armourer had told me that there was a sniper version on issue with the same optic as I had used at the start of my career. The Russian mortar teams now turned their attention to the position on a wooded slope, hacking the wounded to shreds and burying their remains under the wreckage of the forest and large clumps of earth. A sudden stillness descended over the area, broken only by the cries of the wounded on the open plain. 2 men volunteered for a rescue mission. This seemed to me to be highly unwise. Cautiously using the sparse and inadequate cover, they worked their way to their wounded comrades of the other unit. When they reached the first casualty, Helper number 1 raised him to inspect the wound. A shot whipped across the slope and bored a fist-sized hole in the helper's chest. Blood sprayed out from the wound like a fountain. Apparently, the explosive round had severed an artery. The body trembled a little and then collapsed in death. With my binoculars, I swept the distant woods in an effort to identify the Russian positions, but they were well hidden and too far off for our weapons. The presence of the Russian sniper made any further attempt at rescue impossible, and Helper number 2 was very fortunate to make it back in one piece. The shouts and cries of the seriously wounded ebbed away until death extinguished them. The exception was a Jaeger with a kidney wound that was not fatal. He gave vent to his terrible agony with primeval cries interrupted only by short periods of unconsciousness. He was begging us to come for him, but it could not be done without sacrificing more lives. The cries died down, and a terrible groan for help rent the stillness. The man raised an arm imploringly, the fingers of his hand spread. Seconds later, an explosive bullet from the Russian sniper hit the hand, which broke at the wrist and hung down uselessly, still connected by a few tendons, dangling like a broken branch. The bones of the forearm were now exposed to the elements. The Russians obviously wanted to teach us how the Russian hero fought. The terrible cries and screams began again. My platoon sergeant summoned me. Placing a hand on my shoulder and looking at me with his grave eyes, he said, "I can't order you, only plead. I know it's asking a lot, but I urge you please to put that poor man out of his suffering with a clean shot. You are the only person here who can do it with a rifle at this distance." This was the situation I had feared I would have to confront someday. I had often looked on as the Russians killed their own wounded in inaccessible regions of the battlefield. But on the German side this was uncommon, for the systematic disposal of the wounded in this manner cheapened life and demoralized the troops. It was an unwritten law of the Gebesjäger to bring in the wounded if humanly possible. The only exception was killing at the sufferer's request in a hopeless situation. In months gone by, I had shuddered to watch as wounded soldiers capable of surviving but incapable of being transported out had begged a comrade to render the coup de grace to spare them further suffering. It was customary for the Russians to kill off enemy wounded, the reason being, so it has been subsequently explained, that the medical infrastructure was not in place. They were, however, at a loss to explain why it was also necessary for them to torture the wounded before delivering the final shot. This man was not mortally wounded, and I vacillated, but my colleagues urged me on. "Come on, man, do it. For God's sake, put the poor bastard out of his misery." Reluctantly, beset by scruple, I laid my carbine on a rolled-up tent as a rest. The range was less than 80 meters, but the head of the target was occasionally hidden by grass as he writhed, and the body lay behind a slight inundation. I loaded an explosive bullet, aimed towards where I had seen the head, and awaited my opportunity. Suddenly his body froze in a spasm of agony. The cries rang out hoarse, the head appeared. I aimed at the ear, pulled the trigger, and saw the head burst open. A silence fell over the plain. The Russians went to ground. Apparently this development had stunned them, and they had returned to their holes in bewilderment. It gave us time to beat a hasty retreat. We made our way back to battalion in silence, not even exchanging glances. Dumb, sunk in thought, each man was glad that he had not been called upon to do the deed. One may call it an act of mercy, but to this very day I am plagued with guilt by this minor episode. A few days later I was sniper escort to another assault platoon sent out to visit a German unit that was overdue. On the way, we had to cross a Russian minefield through which an engineer company had cleared a narrow track marked by little flags the previous day. We were not all that confident about this track and tiptoed through it with bated breath. It took 90 minutes to get across, after which we entered some bushy country. The veterans of the platoon had developed a sixth sense for terrain and danger, and after a further kilometre or so, the advance party discovered another minefield, this one fitted with neat little tripwires. This would be the flank protection for Soviet positions nearby. Cautiously, using all available cover, we attempted to circumnavigate it, but this intention was more problematical and time-consuming than we first thought. When dusk fell, we were forced to turn back, since movement in mined terrain
The airstrike destroyed the Republic's armor depot.
Word just reached my ear. A panicked Republic officer transmitted a distress signal warning of the lone destroyer who rained fire on their base. I'll cite your impressive... Excuse me. The Republic's discussing defensive tactics on unsecured channels, fools. Please pardon me, I can't miss a word of this.
Displaying all authorized destinations.
What a day. The thrill of the hunt, the heat of the battle. So, have the Sith finally decided to partake in the slaughter? There's serious killing to be done out there.
How do I refuse the promise of violence?
The Empire wants the Cathar wiped out. Trouble is, those furry critters have been bartering with the Nikto, trading land for protection. The Nikto are brutal. Cunning fighters, all of them. But the best of them are a cut above. The Nikto's Morgokai warriors are among the deadliest in the galaxy. They train to kill Force users, and can take a normal man down as easy as breathing.
A Sith fears no one.
Now that's the kind of gumption a warrior needs if he wants any worthwhile heads mounted on his wall. Imps have grown tired of licking their wounds, hired us to deal with the Nikto. I'm sure even a Sith's power would be put to the test against the Morgokai. Interested in joining us?
The Morgokai will come to fear the Sith.
That's the spirit. The Imperials are offering a reward for every Nikto killed, plus a hefty bonus for bringing in the Morgokai's Cortosis staffs. You make it back alive, I'll see you're paid for your kills.
Oh, my lord, have I got a scheme for you? It's brilliant, spectaceous, a surefire way to hit the Republic right where it hurts. They're wounded.
Did you just make up a word?
Possibly. I do that. Our intel suggests the Republic is planning to renovate the old hospital. Most of the medical equipment is still intact, including the Kolto tanks. I say we contaminate those vats, slip a little something extra inside. Care to guess what that something might be?
I'm guessing the Rakghoul virus?
Bullseye! The Republic will have a full-blown infestation on their hands. So, what do you think?
Not a bad idea.
I thank you. I thank you. Now, the old hospital has been abandoned for years, so there's no telling what's inside. Be careful. Here's the virus. I'd recommend putting the vial someplace safe.
Glad you could join our fight. I'm General Farvin. Darth Gravis spoke highly of you, my lord. Perhaps you can show these Mandalorians how the Sith win a fight. We brought them here to help slay the Cathar, wipe the Republic off Taris. But the Mandalorians are sloppy. No respect for a clean victory. To rout the Cathar, we need good old-fashioned Imperial might, and you, of course.
The Republic's allies don't stand a chance.
True, but breaking their resistance is proving difficult. Cathar settlements cover this part of Taris. They're defending their homes under the leadership of a feral warrior. His name's Bashoon. Some call him ferocious, brutal, terrifying. I say he's a dirty alien who needs to be put down.
I suggest you keep the alien bashing to a minimum.
I wasn't referring to you, just these blasted Cathar. They're filthy beasts, especially the leader. Bashoon escaped our assassination attempts. Now he's deeply entrenched with state-of-the-art weaponry. Gifts from the Republic.
I've got a gift of my own. Killed another 10 of the Cathar's best. Few more and I can make a coat. What did I say about following me? Clear off or I'll pluck that lightsaber from your dead body.
You're about as interesting to me as Tarisian wildlife.
I can see right through your lies.
Stop. Take your anger out on Bashoon. But first, we must pull down his defenses. Republic munitions are stockpiled at his camps, defended by the Cathar's best warriors. Republic combat droids, too. Without those weapons, the Cathar and Bashoon are vulnerable. We need to take them out now.
Bashoon will soon be weaponless.
This mission's too important to let you mess it up. I'm going as well. Let us see who can exterminate more of Bashoon's best warriors. I'll bet my pay that you lose.
There's no doubt who's the better Sith, my lord. Devastate the Cathar's weapons, put Thana in her place.
By night was very dangerous. Before doing so, the platoon sergeant had become curious to know what could be seen from the top of a nearby hill and asked me to accompany him. To our surprise, it gave a panoramic view of some very sturdy-looking Russian positions. While examining these through field glasses, about 20 meters to one end of them, I noticed a movement in the bushes and saw a small patch of a light shade appear. On closer inspection, I realized I was looking at a Russian crouching at the toilet. The sergeant whispered, "Sepp, do you see that Ivan over there having a shit? If you put one in him, you'll give them a fright. They think we're all somewhere else. I'll go back with the others. Hold back your shot as long as possible and then follow. At that, he disappeared, leaving me to take the Russian in the crosswires of my optic. The range was at least 150 meters. To be sure of a breast shot, I aimed at his throat, took a deep breath, concentrated briefly, then fired. At that moment, the Russian rose, and the projectile passed through his lower abdomen, leaving a hole the size of a fist. He collapsed, screaming in pain and panic. Appalled, his friends poured out of their underground shelter and fired wildly into the night. I reversed out of my hilltop lair and hastened to rejoin my platoon. Next morning, the same platoon was again outward bound on the mission to find the lost unit. Additionally, we had to capture a prisoner and bring him back for questioning about enemy positions and movements. We used the same route as the previous day. A similar idea had occurred to the Russians, but they had left later and our paths crossed just ahead of their lines. Since we always exercised more caution than they did, we spotted them earlier and so gained the element of surprise. A further advantage was that our platoon was equipped with a new rifle, which had been delivered to the front in small quantities over the last few weeks. The Sturmgewehr 44 was a cross between a machine pistol and a carbine. A lever allowed a choice between semi-automatic and automatic fire. Ammunition was a shorter version of the Pistolen-Patron 43 carbine bullet. The magazine held 30 rounds. The ammunition was effective at up to 300 meters, and the weapon was much better in use than the Mauser K98K carbine, because the force was weaker, and some of the recoil energy was diverted to the automatic reload mechanism. The powerful recoil of the standard carbine resulted in severe bruising to the shoulder after 40 or so rounds. This was the reason why the carbine was so inaccurate in use, because of the unpleasant recoil. Fire was widely dispersed. In a short, violent exchange with the Russian patrol, the Sturmgewehr proved itself an excellent new acquisition. Within a few minutes, we had shot the lot with no losses, the only survivors being non-transportable, severely wounded cases. We had become less soft-hearted in recent days, and a Jaeger humane killer did the rounds of the Russian wounded. Unlike the Russians, we saw no need to interfere with the wound before administering the final shot. The Russian corpses were searched for valuable documents such as paybooks, ID papers, and cards bearing tactical insignia. After a few minutes, the Russian position opened up with heavy mortars, and we were forced to sprint along the edge of their fancy minefield, which we had discovered the previous day. Beyond lay bushy upland. A couple of 100 meters inside it, we came upon the German position we had been looking for and, as expected, found them all dead. From the looks of it, they had fought until all ammunition was expended and then been butchered in hand-to-hand fighting with Russians and Romanians. From amidst the bushes, we could look down into the shallow valley, strewn with German deed. We could go no closer, however, for there was little cover, and enemy positions not being far away, we had to reckon with a Revenger raid coming soon, suspicious noises already being reported. Searching the terrain through binoculars, my eyes fell on a grenade crater about 20 meters off. My attention was arrested by a brand new Jaeger peaked cap, its tin-plated Edelweiss insignia glinting in the sunshine. I decided that this would make a handsome replacement for my own ragged, filthy cap. I crept closer with caution and was only a few meters short of the crater when I saw the dead soldier. Multiple splinters had turned his upper torso into a bloody mash, through which his ribs showed. Hundreds of flies buzzed round the decaying corpse. His ID chain had rucked up around his ears, the tags near his head. When the grenade exploded, it must have blown the cap undamaged from his head. Once at his side, I placed my old cap over his face and tried the new one for size. It was a perfect fit. At that moment, I heard a vehicle approaching and decided it was high time to disappear. I did think of taking the ID tags with me, but got distracted. Once in the bush, I intended to return for them, but the Russian vehicle prevented my fulfilling the intention. The dead German soldier, whoever he was, disappeared into the lists of the missing. Just a moment on my part, and his family would have known his fate for sure. But I was selfish, and saw only the cap. Those unredeemed ID tags were the evidence of my personal failing. Within a few days, the flames of war flared in all Romania. Russian units besieged Bucharest and headed for the important Ploiești oil fields, which had kept the German war machine going for so long. Like a rock in the surf, the Carpathian strongholds of 3rd GD blocked the Red Army's way to the Siebenbürgen plain. It was hardly surprising, therefore, that the Soviets should respond with everything to hand. They were met with ambush strategy. Intent on forcing the valleys, they encountered delaying tactics in which snipers thrived. In well-camouflaged positions, we waited for them to reach a certain point and then engaged. Even with numerically inferior forces, we enjoyed a long period of success simply because the Russians could not develop their attack strategy while confined to mountain passes, under fire and taking heavy losses in men and material. On average, I fired 20 aimed rounds per day, and only a few of these kills ever found their way into the official tallies. It was in early September 1944 that Hauptmann Kloss showed me an OKH circular affecting Army and Waffen-SS snipers. By order of the Führer, a special sniper badge in 3 award grades had been introduced. The first grade was for 20, the second with silver cord trim for 40, and the third with gold cord trim for 60 confirmed kills. The new field grey oval cloth badge, featuring a black raven's head above 3 oak leaves inside the coloured cord trim, was to be worn on the lower right sleeve of the uniform jacket above any additional trade badge. It went without saying that no sniper in his right mind would ever wear this badge at the front. The silver strips, which few wore, were dangerous enough, and the meaning of an official badge would soon have come to the enemy's attention. It would have been suicidal to wear such an advertisement. As before, all kills in straightforward attack and defence were not to count. At the instigation of the Reichsführer SS, in this connection, all previous confirmed kills were to be sacrificed to the Führer, and on the appointed date all tallies were to begin afresh from 0. So that the sniper should not be left empty-handed, he was to be recompensed for his kills to date with the award of the Iron Cross Second Class, EK2, or, if he already had one, the Iron Cross First Class, EK1. A few days later, I received the EK2. In this official elevation of the formerly despised German sniper, it was possible to discern an armaments objective. To motivate the fanatical lone warrior, who, armed with only a rifle, could replace an artillery battery, was very cost-effective, and to some extent might compensate the ever more catastrophic shortfall in weapons and equipment. While the Soviets persevered without success against 3rd GD strongholds in the Carpathian Mountains of Romania, they had managed to invest Hungary by another route and now threatened the division with a fresh encirclement. There was nothing for it but to abandon our positions and retreat to the Maros River on the Siebenbürgen plain. This meant fighting westward over 200 kilometers to get there. We marched at night and by day fought off the Russians, who were able to attack not only from the rear, but also on the flank. When we marched, my battalion commander, Hauptmann Kloss, would go ahead to identify suitable locations to stop the following day. He would always ask me to accompany him, since Kloss considered me to be a battle-hardened veteran with nerves of steel and could rely on me unconditionally. I was therefore also his bodyguard. As a career officer, Kloss had learnt horse riding as a matter of course. On the Eastern Front, a horse enabled its rider to traverse trackless terrain quickly and silently, and thus Kloss rode daily. As his bodyguard, I was given a tough little step, horse. I had never ridden in my life, but a colleague who had been a farmer and horse owner pre-war taught me the essentials in my spare time over a 1-week period. From 1943 onward, the German army in the East relied on hundreds of thousands of horses for logistical purposes. The horse guaranteed a certain basic mobility, for shortages of fuel and spare parts combined with heavy losses in motor vehicles had hit us hard. Some infantry units had no vehicles whatsoever. The plentiful numbers of Eastern European horses, known collectively as Panzerpferd or steppe horses, became the indispensable support of German troops during the Great Retreat. I was knocked unconscious during the early stages of the march into Hungary. We had overtaken an infantry unit which had 2 battle-worthy SP guns. The officer reported that a patrol had seen a column of Russian tanks ahead. I was riding pillion on a motorcycle combination with Hauptmann Kloss in the sidecar when, level with the muzzle of the leading SP gun no more than 2 meters away, the machine stopped abruptly and fired. I was blinded by the flash and tossed, presumably by the muzzle pressure wave, into a hedgerow skirting the highway, where I lost consciousness. When I came to, I saw the motorcycle rider rolling on the ground while Kloss was still in the sidecar, evidently concussed. The firefight with the Russian tanks was short-lived and help arrived swiftly, but it was days before I lost the whistle in my ears. Before reaching our new defensive line in Hungary, one night we passed through a wooded valley along the Maros River in search of a suitable daytime stopping place. I was trotting ahead of my company. They were all chronically overtired and were plodding along as if in a trance. Only the security platoon, of which I formed part, was really alert. A 5-man advance party was leading about 50 meters ahead. Suddenly, a dull detonation awoke everyone from his lethargy, and I saw one of the leading groups fall to the ground and set off another explosion. I realized at once that he had stepped on a mine. Since there was no firing, it was not an ambush. The order was passed down the line that nobody should move except with the utmost caution. Being well forward, I worked towards the wounded man, together with a medic. In the light of a flash lamp, we saw a face pallid with shock. The initial explosion had blown off his left leg below the knee, and when he fell, he had sat on the second mine, which detonated, inflicting corresponding injuries. Nothing could be done for him, and he bled to death. Ritual had no place on this front. The dead man was a material loss, a statistic, and he was left where he fell. The medic retrieved his ID tags. The company lined up in Indian file well behind 2 engineers on their hands and knees who probed the ground with a bayonet for more mines. We established later that we had stumbled into a minefield laid by Hungarian troops to cover their retreat from the Russians. It took 5 hours to progress a few hundred meters, but eventually we came out without further losses. In general, German soldiers did not encounter mined areas very often. Since, as a rule, we were in constant retreat, it was mainly the Russians who ran up against the problem. At dawn, we reached our new temporary location and dug in. The Russians were on our heels, and we expected the first reconnaissance patrols at any moment. I was accompanying the battalion commander on an informal inspection tour of the bunkers, when suddenly a single rifle shot rang out and broke the morning stillness. It hit an MG position about 5 meters ahead. Kloss and I reached the trench-bent double and found a young Jager sitting holding a field cap from which the Edelweiss insignia had been ripped off. I knew the cause immediately, a Russian sniper. The MG gunner, only a few days at the front, saw Hauptmann Kloss and, intending to explain where the shot had come from, stood up and pointed. Before he had time to speak, I launched myself at him like a football goalkeeper to drag him down. But in the same second, the sniper fired again, the shot glancing off the boy's head, opening a fearful wound. He had not lost consciousness, but suffered brain damage. We bandaged him until his head looked like a white pumpkin, then stretchered the casualty to battalion headquarters, where he asked over and over, "What happened? Have I been hurt?" When he reverted to talking as a young child, Kloss wrapped a fatherly arm around the boy and said, "You just stay quiet, son. You've had an accident. We're going home soon, and then everything will be all right." I stayed to keep the boy company. The word spread quickly that a Russian sniper had infiltrated no man's land, and that great caution was necessary. It was expected that Obergefreiter Allerberger would cure the problem. As was the case with only a few other soldiers, the sniper was the man of whom the others had constant expectations. The officers especially demanded unlimited, zealous commitment in the execution of orders that were often beyond the bounds of possibility. If the sniper achieved what he had been sent out to do, he had done no more than his duty. If he failed, he could be condemned as incompetent or even cowardly. But a sniper could not perform miracles, especially when facing his opposite number. I was fortunate to have had superiors of a mostly generous outlook in this respect. Whenever possible upon arriving at a new location, I would erect a well-camouflaged hide first thing. Once I had been relieved at Battalion HQ beside the patient, I occupied the observation post, hoping to spot the Russian sniper, but the sly old fox had vanished. I spent all day in tense watchfulness, but only in the evening, as we abandoned the position, leaving behind only a small rearguard, did the Russians reveal their presence with a few bursts of MG fire to see us off. Hardly had we reached our new positions near Deda on 24 September 1944 than the Russians launched a massive offensive which did not peter out until 8 October, when they broke through the front to the south of 3rd GD and threatened encirclement. Our division was forced to relinquish its trenches, held at very high cost in lives, and set out for a new front line along the banks of the Theiss River. The overall situation had deteriorated in the face of political polarization in Hungary. Parts of the Hungarian armed forces were already defecting to the Russians, although a great part remained unconditionally loyal to its Axis partner. For the first time, too, we became embroiled in large-scale civilian evacuations, and these were not only persons of German stock from the Siebenbürgen, but also anti-communist groups attaching themselves to the retreating Wehrmacht. The risk they were running was obviously enormous. The retreat now began to assume an aspect indigestible even for the most hardened Jaeger stomach. On the huge Hungarian plain known as the Puszta, vastly superior Russian tank armies flooded to the offensive. In order to retain contact with the main German force, Army Group Wöhler, of which 3rd GD formed part, had to spearhead a way through the Russian attack in order to reach the town of Nyíregyháza. The stream of refugees became entangled in the bitter fighting. As the political change in Hungary was only half-hearted, the invading Red Army considered themselves victors in
Word's already out. The jungle is apparently littered with the bodies of slain Nikto. Mogokai training didn't prepare them for the likes of you.
It was actually quite simple.
Wish I could have seen it. I contacted the Imperials for your payment as soon as I heard about your killing spree. Here, you've earned this.
The trap is set. The Republic Kolto tanks are swimming with the Rakghoul virus.
Yes! Once the hospital opens its doors, they'll be in a world of trouble. By the time they realize the Kolto is contaminated, it'll be too late. Ah, I do love a good ploy. Good work.
I took out the Cathar's weaponry. They're defenseless.
Don't try taking all the credit. I smashed more than my share of munitions.
Excellent work, both of you. Though I'm sorry you didn't kill enough Cathar to win Thana's little game.
Not even close.
My patience is wearing thin.
So sensitive. No wonder you lost.
Drop the attitude. We have to hit Bashun now, before the Republic rearms the Cathar.
Just tell me where their leader's hiding.
Bashun's protected by heavy security. Installed after our failed assassination attempt. Lost my top commanders that day. Now he's entrenched in a Republic base, building his defense. Only the Empire's best can take him down.
I'm the best there is. Leave Bashun's death to me.
I am incredibly powerful after all.
You must be joking. I'll slay this Cathar before you even reach his base.
She's beyond my control. See that Bashoon's killed, and don't let Thana compromise the mission.
Enemy territory, and provided the civilian population and German forces with a diabolical foretaste of what they could expect once they reached the Reich and perpetrated the most horrific atrocities. The discovery of the tortured and mutilated bodies of German soldiers was by then, of course, almost routine. The claim that the Soviet Union was engaged in a life-or-death struggle against fascism, and that anything was justified as a means to an end, even raping Hungarian little girls, has been the alibi acceptable to the former Western Allies in glossing over the crimes of Russian soldiers against civilians in all countries of Eastern Europe during the Second World War. The depths of bestiality and depravity to which the majority of Russian soldiery was allowed to degenerate by its leaders, political and military, is an amazing phenomenon in that, in contrast to the millions of words written about National Socialism, no academic historian has ever written a book about it. Russian tank units had passed through a small village near Nieregi Haza and kept going. Subsequently, a company of Russian infantry had occupied the village. When the Gebirgsjäger closed in, there was a brief and violent firefight decided in our favor, resulting in the survivors of the Russian company withdrawing with heavy losses. On taking possession of the village, we noticed that the inhabitants were reticent to show themselves from their cellars and hiding places. Once sure that the Russians had been driven off, they came out to embrace us with a gratitude that was almost pathetic. Upon examination of the houses, the reason for their emotion became clear. We found that the Russians had left a trail of raped women and small girls, the menfolk who protested having been bayoneted or shot. With two colleagues, I came upon a distraught and hysterical old man who could not be calmed and kept pointing to a kind of wine cellar. We were naturally concerned that enemy soldiers might be hiding there and surrounded the building. When nobody responded to our demands for the occupants to come out and show themselves, an infantryman drew a stick grenade from his belt, intending to lob it inside. The old man stopped him, clutching his arm and crying. Gesticulating wildly, he pushed the German soldier forward into the interior. Hardly had the Jager set foot inside than he backed off, green in the face, leant against a wall for support, and vomited. I peered inside the room. What I saw made me gasp in horror. On the floor lay a woman who had been in the last stages of pregnancy. Her abdomen had been slit open with a knife and the fetus extracted. She had bled to death. The fetus had been impaled to a beam with a bayonet. I released the dead child and, having wrapped it with its dead mother in tent cloth, carried them into the garden, dug a grave and buried them. Orders come through to dig in. We are situated immediately in front of a United States artillery fire position, which could make life difficult for us. Even though we are delighted with the grown-over hedges of our location, it is damned hard work to dig foxholes in the roots. Even before we are finished, the Americans begin their counterattack, supported by 5 tanks. It is exactly 7:25 p.m. With concentrated fire from our weapons, we stop the counterattack, the breakthrough point is sealed, and the enemy is forced back. 2 United States tanks are now smoking ruins on the landscape. A dead American bends out of the turret tower. This day has cost the enemy considerably in the high losses of men and matériel. As so often, today has shown once again what a well-trained and properly led troop can do against an enemy with superior materiel. I am proud to belong to this troop. July 1944. After a careful shave and bath in an old wood barrel, I eat breakfast about 9 o'clock. Today I feel especially well. A brief examination of our weapons and a few cheerful words to my comrades, and I am on my way to the observation post to relieve Hermann. I take the shorter course across the cow pasture. The area to the left of the battalion is under enemy mortar fire. I should hurry to the observation post, but it is such a beautiful day that I find great joy in my walk across the meadow. Around the meadow, the engineer platoon is preparing some small jokes for the Americans in the form of stumble wire connected with explosive mines, and hand grenades skillfully placed without their pins. I remember 10 days ago when they mounted a light pressure mine under the toilet seat of a latrine near a French farmhouse that we could no longer defend. I imagine with satanic pleasure how an American sat down comfortably on the seat only to have the mine blow both him and the stinking outhouse to heaven. But this treachery is a weapon against both enemy and friend. Suddenly, not 5 steps away from me, a grey-black mushroom erupts in which a fiery Satan bellows and spits glowing beams from all sides. Even before the sound and pressure waves reach my ears, I lie down in an old shell crater, holding the steel helmet on my head as clods and rocks fall on and around me. Then I feel a hot burning in my left foot. With horror, I observe a long tear in my left boot that reaches from the ankle to the toes. The pain increases. With difficulty, I try to remove the boot from my foot, but it causes terrible pain. Determined, I take my knife and cut the upper boot from the top to where the tear begins. Finally, I succeed in freeing the wounded foot from the boot and pull off the sock. I look at the damage, which at first glance does not look too serious. One toe is split open from the root to the toenail, like
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. It is, we are deep into the holiday season here.
The Empire's trying to drive us from Terrace, from our homes. Soon they'll learn that Cathar never backed down.
Keep talking, Bashoon. When I get out of here, I'll stomp out your entire species.
The Empire sent this Sith to kill me, but she failed. Proof that none can defeat the mighty Cathar.
I was afraid I'd never see you again.
What are you talking about? Just get me out of here.
The only way you're leaving is in Republic custody. You know, Cathar aren't the only settlers on Terrace. The Nikto have joined us along with their Morgukai warriors. We're all refugees, fleeing the Empire's cruelty. And I promise you, my Cathar, we won't be uprooted again.
Nice speech. Uplifting, really. But they'll be disappointed when I kill you.
Don't be so sure. I have the Morgukai and the Republic on my side. Watch closely, fellow Cathar. Witness our enemy's downfall.
Force be with us.
It's not over. Keep fighting.
Stay on Taris and you'll share Bashoon's fate.
That'll send those beasts running off planet. Now, why don't you come over here? Let me out. I'm sure there's some way I can make it up to you.
Stay in there a while. Think about that attitude of yours.
I'm going to escape, and when I do, you'd better be long gone.
And it's the holidays everywhere, even in places where things aren't going well. So we have our tree. We have a beautiful tree with great ornaments to celebrate this very special and momentous time. It is even the holidays for Hunter Biden, who are the president's son, in the unending persecution of artists in America. They're trying to get him on 9 counts of tax evasion. This guy's got to remember to not smoke crack, not fuck hookers, not leave blow in the White House, and pay your taxes? It seems a little lofty of an ideal to hold a human being to that standard. There are so many things this guy has to remember when he wakes up. Don't call anyone I've ever met. Don't reach out to any of the exes. Don't call my brother's ex, who's my dead brother's ex. Don't fuck her. Don't do that again. Don't commit a federal drug crime. Don't commit a felony. He's got a lot on his plate. And he's an artist. Okay? And many of you don't relate to that because you are not artists. But he's an artist. Hunter Biden sees the world, the imperfections, the terrible things, and he wants to make them into something beautiful. For you, that's what artists do. What's interesting about this is Gavin Newsom, that snake, had this done because he wants to be the president. So he directed his cronies in California to charge Hunter Biden, recovering addict, artist, father, right?
Yeah.
See how I think? Father, recovering addict, artist, father, son of our president, who's very present and in the moment and not at all dead, our president. And this is a beautiful family that is now being attacked by the silver-tongued, although not so silver-tongued in that debate with DeSantis, let's be honest. Gavin got a little cocky and kind of shit the bed. But I can't believe that they got this guy on tax evasion. Hunter Biden was indicted on 9 tax charges in California as a special counsel investigation into the business dealings of President Joe Biden's son intensifies against the backdrop of the 2024 election. They cannot get Biden to quit. This is the thing. He won't quit. I don't know if it's him that won't quit. Maybe it is him. Every poll that is being released is basically like, you cannot run. You cannot walk. You can't do it. You're going to lose. You're putting us at a big disadvantage in the general election. They have him matched up against Trump, anyone, DeSantis, dead people. Biden always comes out the loser by like 10 points. So now I think they're going to basically see like, well, let's see how much we can leak on his son because this guy won't leave. And I don't know why he won't leave. What did he do? What are they afraid of the next person finding? This is the only thing I've cooked up in my own head, and I may not be correct. What are they afraid of? Why will he not leave? What do they not want the next person stumbling upon? Why would he even want this gig? Why do you even want the job? So now Hunter, the only son he has left, 3 felonies, 6 misdemeanors, in addition to federal firearms charges in Delaware, alleging Hunter Biden broke laws against drug users having guns in 2018. Why shouldn't a drug user have guns? Delaware. They need them. Drug users need them more than regular people. They come after the implosion of a plea deal over the summer that would have spared him jail time, putting the case on track to a possible trial as his father campaigns for re-election. Well, there it is. Biden's campaigning for re-election, the Hunter Biden trial. He spent millions of dollars on an extravagant lifestyle rather than paying his tax bills. Yeah? So what? They say he owes $1.4 million in taxes because between 2016 and 2019, he wasn't paying his taxes. He was smoking crack. But the back taxes have since been paid. So I don't understand what the problem is. If convicted, he could face a maximum of 17 years in prison. Based on the facts of the law, if Hunter's last name was anything other than Biden, the charges in Delaware and now California would not have been brought, Lowell said. Here's the thing, I would almost argue the opposite. It's like, nobody's had more leniency kind of than this guy. Think about this. This guy is the son of the president. He has videos of himself smoking crack and holding guns to escorts' heads. We're kind of chill about this. We've been pretty chill about it. You know, like everybody's kind of been chill. It hasn't been like obviously the Republicans have, you know.
I intercepted Bashoon's final transmission. Magnificent work. His death was gratuitous but effective. The Cathar are abandoning their homes in terror.
The less Republic minions on this planet, the better.
And now, with the Cathar weakened, the way's open for our final offensive.
There you are. 3 meters of Durasteel. That's what I cut through to escape my cell.
I like a woman who can bounce back from certain doom.
You dare talk to me like that after the stunt you pulled?
What was that, Thana? Your transmission, it's breaking up. Much better. I've heard enough of her ranting. Lord Gravis expects you to lead our final attack. Regretfully, I can't join you. My duty's here, wiping out any resisting Cathar. Head to the Republic outskirts, meet Lord Chathan. When flames and evac shuttles choke the skies, I'll know you've crushed the Republic base.
Been like, hey man, you suppressed that story, the laptop, which they did. It's a fact. They didn't want that story out. But people have been kind of chill here.
Displaying all authorized destinations.
The content, which is like, this guy was wild. Like, I'm sure Roger Clinton was wild, Bill Clinton's brother, and Neil Bush. But we just don't have photo and video evidence of every fucked up thing they've ever done. With this guy, I mean, you can see him smoking crack, guns to the heads of hookers. Can we get any of that up that we can play without it being a problem?
Some of it's in script, I can find some.
But what's interesting about it is people are like, well, he's being attacked because his name is Biden. It's like, no one could do that. If my aunt found my uncle's laptop and he had even one of the videos that Hunter Biden had, his whole life would be ruined. Can you imagine that? If anyone found, think to yourself, You have a laptop, maybe in, I don't know, your spare room. Your wife finds it, your husband, your significant other, your kids. They find a laptop. On the laptop is photos and videos of you smoking crack with hookers in the Ukraine. Anyone's life would have been ruined. This guy's doing well. He's painting. He lived in Malibu up until recently, maybe still does. This guy's doing great. There's no way my uncle could have a laptop with photos and videos of him doing the things Hunter Biden did and end up in Malibu. No way! No way! No one! No one! If you recorded every bad thing you've ever done, fucking hookers, guns to their head, lines of coke, cooking crack, if you recorded every single thing you've ever done, your life would be ruined, over. Your wife would divorce you.
Speak softly, my lord. The Republic could be listening in on us this very moment. I'm Lieutenant Trace. I've been tracking Republic signals buzzing in and out of this base for weeks. I finally had to put a lockdown on all outgoing transmissions. My men can't even speak to their own mothers without my say-so.
Good you dealt with the problem before it got out of hand.
Still, there's no telling how much information has already been leaked. You see this? It's a Republic transmitter. One of my men, dead now, tried to plant one under my desk a few weeks ago. I traced the bug signal to a nearby Republic listening post, a communications hub of some sort. Turns out that listening post houses one of the Republic's primary satellite arrays. It's the keystone of their entire communications network on Taris.
How did they keep such an important outpost hidden for so long?
It's located on the outskirts of a Rakghoul-infested ravine. Our patrols won't go anywhere near it. Should have known better. We have an opportunity here to end Republic snooping, leave their spies cut off and their forces running blind. Unfortunately, I don't know which of my men I can trust, so I need you to run this one. Can you destroy that listening post?
It will be amusing to watch the Republic fumble about blindly.
I couldn't agree more. Knock out the satellite array and you'll render the entire listening post inoperable. Remember though, that place is a military facility, and anyone who can survive in that wilderness will be a formidable opponent.
Lord Shathin at your service. I was relieved to hear you'll be leading our assault. If your command of the force is any indication, this will be a proud day for all Sith. Darth Gravis, your friend has arrived.
You've performed well. Taris is scarred. The Republic's support weakened. I trust you're ready to deliver the killing blow.
The Republic won't survive another day on Taris.
Such conviction will prove necessary in the fight ahead. Centuries ago, Darth Malak began the destruction of Taris. We're about to complete his work. We will crush the Republic reconstruction and the Jedi responsible. Thanks to you, they're cornered in their base. Their final sanctuary on Taris.
And soon to be their tomb. Don't worry, Gravis. I'll tear down their base, then soak Taris with Republic blood.
Devastation deserves to be drawn out, appreciated. You'll just make a mess.
I'm capable of more than you know.
Thana, I knew you'd come running at the first scent of blood. Unfortunately, the base's approach is infested with Republic forces. They're blocking our army's advance.
Rain bombs on their heads.
They're shielded. Only close combat will work.
Shields or not, I want them pulverized.
Without their defenses, Thana can catch the Republic forces off guard.
Break the machines if you want. I'm more of a blood and bruises woman.
Clear the battlefield, then we'll hit the Republic base and finally drive them off Taris.
you. She would take everything. The judge would be like, buddy, what the fuck? You'd go into rehab. You could potentially be charged with something I don't know. Documents, texts, and videos obtained by Daily Mail show Hunter Biden spent a staggering $30,000 on escorts in a 5-month period. By the way, $30,000 in 5 months, you can do that. That's not that staggering. I mean, come on. These aren't bottom of the barrel whores here. He's got good whores. But can you imagine that if you spent $30,000 on escorts in 5 months and recorded the entire thing and then your wife found it, you would be DOA, dead. He's doing pretty good. He's still at the White House. They still let him in the White House. He still gets to stand on the balcony. He's probably still leaving cocaine in the White House. He had an art show. Didn't Hunter Biden have like a show of his work?
Yeah, I was here in Soho.
Yeah, he had a show of his work in Soho? This is not a guy who's like a hopeless guy. People, he's being persecuted because of his name. No, it's his name, which is the reason that the guy can live in Malibu and have art shows in Soho. No regular human being can spend $872,000 on prostitutes, porn, and sex club memberships. Take $1.6 million from ATMs. By the way, it's a job his father got him in the Burisma fucking around in the Ukraine. That's how he has all this money. He's a lawyer. Lawyers don't have any money anymore, by the way. Anyone listening to this thinking about becoming a lawyer, when you graduate law school now, you're impoverished for like 15 years. You can't make any money. There's like 20 lawyers that have any money. It's not a lucrative thing anymore. Doctors, same thing. You talk to the big real estate agents, you go, who did you represent 20, 30 years ago? They go, it was doctors, lawyer. They go, now I don't have one doctor, one lawyer. They can't afford shit. It's all tech, finance, creative people on a very high level, and athletes. Lawyers and doctors are out. This guy's a lawyer. How the fuck's he taking 1.6 out of an ATM? It's because he had a fucking job where there was a slush fund, which he used for hookers and blow. And by the way, I'm not even moralizing about any of that. I've had my own problems. I'm not saying that this guy should be condemned. I'm saying he's getting less than what a normal person would get. I sat in AA for years. I still do occasionally. It's not anonymous when it's my program. I keep other people's anonymity. I don't give a shit whether you know what I'm in or not. I don't go enough. I should go more. But I've heard stories of how people's lives get wrecked when they do what he's done. I've lived it. Right? I lost a house. My credit got shredded. I lived with comics on couches and rooms in New York City for years, working shit jobs, trying to learn how to be funny. There was no art gallery show in Soho. There were no high-end rehabs. I didn't live in Malibu. I wasn't invited to the White House. That was not part of my sobering up journey. I had tax problems too. I had to pay the fucking money. I had to get a shitty little lawyer that didn't really care, tried their best, and we paid the fucking money back. I didn't really owe that much money. He owed a lot more than me. But this idea that, like, Hunter Biden's had it particularly rough is insane. That's insane. It's crazy. He's not had it particularly rough. I know tons of addicts whose entire lives, and they didn't do a fraction of what he did. I know people who lost their entire lives because they drank too much one night and got in a car and got pulled over. Didn't hurt anyone, didn't kill anyone. Didn't have 200 videos of Ukrainian human trafficking victims fucking them with a gun to their head. They just made a left when they shouldn't have. They got pulled over, they lost their car, they lost their job, they had to pay restitution, they didn't have the money for it. It took them years to get their lives back. Years. So this idea that the Democrats are gonna be like, well, it's actually Hunter is paying a price that other people don't pay. He's paying far less of a price than any drug addict ever that's been caught with anything. And no matter what you believe politically, I don't care if you love Joe Biden and hate Donald Trump, you have to agree, if you're a rational person, that Hunter Biden is not paying the price that other people have paid. How many drug addicts, by the way, are in Malibu with an art show in Soho? And, I mean, this is wild. So, Hunter's 4 years of wild spending, he went nuts spending money. ATMs, 1.6.
Take it easy.
2016, he withdrew 200,000. This is, by the way, a lesson in progressive drug use as well, how it gets worse. 2016, 200 grand. 2016's probably not that bad. He's smoking crack occasionally, a couple of lines of the powdered cocaine. It's okay. Things aren't great, but it could be worse. 2017, 503,000 out of an ATM. Now, he's not taking this money out to tip valets. Understand, this money goes right to the dealer. I know, I was a drug addict for many years. That's why when I'm talking about him, I'm not condemning the act of using drugs. I'm condemning this idea that he's had it particularly rough. He hasn't. 500,000 in 2017. 2018, things get a little unmanageable. $772,000 at an ATM or cash withdrawal where he shows up sniffling at a bank and goes, I gotta take some money out. I need some money now. And he goes in, he's got a nice suit because he spent a lot of money on clothes. That's the next thing coming up. Clothing and accessories, he spent a total over this. And so the last year is $772,548, the exact same amount of money. So that's where he maxed out. That's where he was going to die. He was doing about $800,000 worth of crack a year. Around that. And hookers. Hookers and crack. At 800,000 of hookers and crack. That was his budge. That was the budget. In 2019. You're telling me you spent 800,000 on hookers and crack 2 years in a row? You have an art show in Soho? No. And nobody I know. No one you know, by the way. I'm talking about celebrities. I'm talking about a lot of people. I'm not just talking about broke people or middle-class people. I'm talking about, like, people that I know that have done really, really well. If they had behaved like that, it would be over. There would be no second or third act. This guy's got the benefit of his second or third act. And if he is being, which he's not, if this is all political, and that's the only reason that they're doing this, and obviously Newsom may be involved in it, trying to get him out. I don't know if he is or not. It doesn't make Newsom look great either, by the way, to show that this is, he keeps talking about how great Biden is. This is his son. If any of this is politically motivated, it's because his dad won't just not be the president.
All the Republic channels suddenly turn to static. By the time they get everything back online, we'll have already mopped up their scattered forces. Nicely done.
The Republic had you bugged. Your men need to be dealt with.
Don't worry. With no one to transmit to, they won't be able to do any harm. Sooner or later, they'll get desperate and slip up. I'll do a thorough check for any remaining bugs, and have the other bases do the same. We'll purge those spies yet.
Darth Gravis, it appears we're ready.
I disabled the Republic's shields. It's all up to Thana now.
I killed them all. Didn't even break a sweat.
Fantastic work, both of you. We must act quickly before the Republic deploys reinforcements. Lord Shathan, begin the attack.
At once, my lord.
The final battle for Taris has begun. If we are to demolish this planet, You and Thana must join forces.
I've been looking forward to some one-on-one time.
I'll help, Gravis, if only to prepare for the day I strike you down.
Splendid. Your mission is twofold. Blow up the Republic spaceport and eliminate the leader of their reconstruction efforts, a powerful Jedi Master named Serek.
Such a loss will be devastating. The entire galaxy will take note.
What better way to drive them off than humiliation by defeat? Once Master Serek falls, the Republic will be forced to abandon Taris. The spaceport's destruction will block their reinforcements and trap the doomed survivors here.
Darth Gravis, the attack's underway. Republic transports are in orbit, headed for their spaceport.
They're trying to flee. If we don't kill Master Serek now, he'll return with a full occupation force.
I will destroy the enemies of the Empire.
Show our enemies what it means to spit in the Empire's face. Infiltrate the Republic base. Disable the spaceport safety measures. Then meet Thana in the lower levels. Only together can you destroy the Republic's dreams.
And don't keep me waiting.
If you get the chance, take out the Republic's assault cannons. They're making life painful for our boys.
His dad won't just walk away and let someone else run. So, but I don't think it is. Like, here's the deal. He's a known guy. So he's being prosecuted because they know what he did. Whether it's political or not, they know what he did. The crimes are public. They're out in the open. He didn't pay the taxes. So this idea that, like, you know, my favorite one is health, beauty, and pharmacy. In 2016, he spent $54,000. 2017, he spent $110,000. 2018, $46,000. 2019, less. $26,000 on health, beauty, and pharmacy. 2019, he's like, listen, no condoms anymore. The condom budget's done. We don't need condoms. Honey, you don't need tweezers and Q-tips. It doesn't matter. No condoms. That's the only one that goes down is health, beauty, and pharmacy. You don't need Claritin. Get in the car. Get in the car. You know, 2016, he's really nice about it. He's like, yeah, go whatever you want. Get whatever you want. What do you need? You want? Oh, you girls love your nails. Go in there and get nail polish remover. Whatever you need. I'll be in the car. You go in there and get whatever you want. 2019, he knows these whores for a while. He's like, will you get in the fucking car? Okay. You know I'm clean. We don't need a condom. You know I'm clean. My father's gonna be the president. So that sucks. But we wish, what do we wish him?
Wish him well.
Wish him well. I'm telling you right now, I so many people are doing e-commerce right now, and so many people are unfortunately unaware of ShipStation. And the reality is, ShipStation is something that is so essential, especially for a new business or even for an establishment. Don't get stuck worrying about shipping orders. Let ShipStation do the heavy lifting. So you and your team can put your time, money, energy into more important things. When it comes to those inevitable holiday returns, ShipStation automates, recommends exchanges, and gathers customer feedback. So even if they bought the wrong size or color, you'll have a great experience. Whether you're shipping from your house or multiple warehouses, ShipStation can increase your holiday profitability. You can quickly and easily update crucial order information, reducing errors. Effortless integration with Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify, and more. ShipStation manages orders, prints labels, compares rates. Here's what's amazing about ShipStation. They handle your entire back office. You put the time and effort and energy into what you need to, which is the creative end, generating clients, marketing, you know, the origination of ideas, right? That's what powers a business. The sales end. Over 130,000 companies have scaled their e-commerce business with ShipStation. 98% of companies that use it for a year become customers for life. Get discounts up to 84% off USPS and UPS rates. This is what I love. You get a free 60-day trial. So basically, you get 60 days free trial using this service. If you use code Tim Dillon, go to ShipStation.com, code Tim Dillon. Everybody buys shit on the internet. I don't care what you're doing. You live in Tennessee, an area, you got some fun-looking acorns and stuff, sell them on the internet. Sell anything on the internet. Old lunch boxes, people that buy them on the internet. If you want to go to craft store, I mean, Gary Vee talks about this stuff all the time, and he's never wrong. If you go to old, weird craft stores and shit, you buy shit, sell it on the internet. How are you going to do it? ShipStation, 60-day free trial. ShipStation.com, code Tim Dillon. ShipStation.com, code Tim Dillon. It's more important than ever right now to be healthy. And if you want farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your door, skip trips to the grocery store, especially now during the holidays, it is packed. Go to HelloFresh. Make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why, you know, these frozen things, when you get them, they're never the same. It's never the same. That's why you need a meal kit. You want to stress less holiday season with the help of HelloFresh? Skip the grocery store. Save time with easy, tasty recipes delivered right to your door. It's so easy to make these 10-minute lunches. So easy. Fresh food, never frozen. Delivered to you. You cook it easy. You want a date? Nice date is making a dinner with somebody. Let this person that you've just invited into your life see that you value yourself, your health, cooking, being home. People like that. I'm telling you, it's such a big deal right now to show a potential partner, mother or father of your child that you really value eating food at home and being healthy. After a full day of work, there's so much to do. HelloFresh is great. It's great for families. It's great for single people. We use it. I use it. All of my friends are really using it now, and we're all very excited about it. It excites us. I'll call someone. I go, "What are you doing?" They go, "Cooking HelloFresh." But they say it. There's something in their voice that's nice. They're happy. They say, "I'm cooking HelloFresh," but it's not as crazy as that. It's more of I'm cooking HelloFresh. It's like they're in a musical or something. And you could just hear it. Maybe they're chopping a little onion or putting something in a pan. It's so easy. Go to HelloFresh.com/TimDFree. Use the code TimDFree, TimDFree. For free breakfast for life? Are you fucking nuts? This is what they're giving. If you don't do this, you're crazy. Free breakfast for life. One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life. You don't have to pay for breakfast now. Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening, King Tut? It's the ornament. TimDFree, free breakfast for life. What are you, nuts?
Are you sure you'll be all right?
McDonald's, America needs, and what I've always said is, where are we? I always say that as a question. Where are we? What do we need? Where are we? What do we need? These are the things that keep me up at night. I go, where are we? What do we need? And you know what we need? We need more McDonald's. That's our medicine. We need more McDonald's. The prescription for what this country needs is more McDonald's in a slightly different, because look at what McDonald's has done. It's a legendary concept originating where all good things do in California, where you can get cheeseburgers for almost nothing whenever you want. That's what McDonald's is. It's other things. Yes, it's Grimace and the hamburger. It's fun. They have the play place. And the griddle's nice. But it's the beginning of fast food. The idea and the concept. Someone, somewhere, is going to hand you a hot cheeseburger through a window immediately, pretty much whenever you want. That is one of the most revolutionary concepts in American history. You may think we've abused that concept, and there's certainly some evidence. I've abused it. I know my friends have abused it. But that is what McDonald's is. McDonald's is now launching a new concept. It's being
Take it easy.
They didn't respond, did they? Okay. I was just walking my mom out. They went out to a little festival. So give me one more second.
Launched in Bolingbrook or Bolingbrook, Illinois. Bolingbrook, Illinois. It's called Cosmcs. COSMCs. It's not open yet. There was a team full of actors in the drive-thru filming a commercial, so the menu was up, and I was able to snap a few pics from afar. It's a mix of a lot of new drink offerings and an all-day breakfast menu of new items. So here's what McDonald's has realized. They look at Starbucks and they go, Starbucks is killing people with drinks. It's much easier. Look at any Starbucks. There's not a lot of people working in a Starbucks. It's a pretty pared down concept. You can kill a good amount of people. It's a real genocide. With frappuccinos in there, you can kill them easily. You need a blender, some syrup, some ice, and a lid. That's it. You don't need grills and onions and cheeseburgers. You don't need hash browns. You don't need little apple slices to pretend to give to the kids and all that bullshit. You don't need characters. You don't need a fry cook. All you need is a couple marginally intelligent, reasonably desperate people to work there all day, manning they're all versions of a slushie. The maligned thing that we all hated at 7-Eleven and we all made fun of because it is heinous. The Quickie Mart slushie from The Simpsons, the just cold slush in your glass is what a Frappuccino is. Now, of course, it tastes better. It's got caffeine. It's coffee. It's sugar. But that's what Starbucks does. You know, yes, they do coffee. They do other things. Well, what about the paninis? Yeah, sure. But what they do is every month at Starbucks, they have a new way to kill you. They have a caramel macchiato with toasted coconut. They have a mocha cookie crumble. It's a milkshake. That's all it is. And they have holiday. They have a caramel brulee, peppermint, mocha, And what these things do is they're addictive. You ever had a Frappuccino? I have. You drive through. The third sip, I may get one after this, just hearing myself talk about it. The third sip or fourth sip of a Frappuccino, your eyes open. Your headache, if you have a tiny little headache, it goes away. You make that right turn onto the fucking, onto the service road or the parkway or the highway, and you are doing good. And you put it in the cup holder, and maybe there's a song that Mariah, I don't wanna love. And you're riding the horse of sugar, and it tastes good. And now I used to do it with a little Perkadoodle-Doo. I'd have a Percocet, and you'd put a Marlboro Menthol Light in your mouth, or a Newport, or a Marlboro Light. Oh, Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord. And then the shit that would just gather in your stomach that you would take in the office. And you would spend the first 10 minutes in the office shitting. That glorious Percocet Starbucks cigarette shit. Now, when you have an office job, these are the small, lovely pleasantries we talked about a couple episodes back. So what McDonald's has realized, because all these executives sit around and they basically go, how do we kill people? How do we kill them? How do we kill people? And the McDonald's goes, they're coming after red meat. Yeah, they don't like that. They're saying that the cows farting is killing the ozone layer. Everybody's getting skin cancer. The waters are going to rise. Going to be a real day after tomorrow situation. Miami, Manhattan, all these places flooded. California's on fire. Not good. We don't like it. Not good. So they go, we got to figure out how to transition out of red meat. This is what McDonald's, I truly believe they thought like this, because they're smart. They're not dumb. They're smart.
I believe it too. Like there's got to be some way. Like why would they just make a coffee place out of nowhere? Oh, it's because they don't want to be burgers and fries anymore because they keep getting too much shit for it. Yes, Kat. I'm the only one here. I'm sorry.
had them under control.
We need to kill Sarek and blow this place. Now.
Way ahead of you. Since you finally disabled the Republic's safety measures, I can force their power grid to go critical and... What? Ugh! The spaceport's set to blow, but those blasted Jedi installed a failsafe. Let's find Sarek and rip the override code from his dead hands.
Cat, shush.
And they go, how do we kill people? Make that big. This is how you kill people. This is how you kill people. With a churro frappe. Churro frappe. S'mores cold brew. This is how you kill people. This is how you kill people in a world that is turned against red meat. Turned against the cheeseburger.
Red meat's a symbol of the patriarch. You don't give a shit about anything I mean. I bet you hit trans people with a stick.
So, the churro frappe comes. The s'mores cold brew. Can you imagine that? The sour cherry energy burst for the minorities. There's gotta be something. Tropical, what does that say? Spice Aid. Looks a little like Spick Aid, but that's theirs. That's what it's Spice Aid. Blueberry ginger burst for the people who are like, I just need a little cleansing today. Blackberry mint green tea. Island pick-me-up punch. Ooh! Berry hibiscus sour aid. Popping pear slush. Popping pear slush. Sour tango lemonade. Chai frappe burst. Turmeric spice light. So now what they'll do, they do this and then they also have like a green tea. It's just like McDonald's has the salad. Here's how you kill people. And by the way, if you don't think I'm going to Illinois, this does look phenomenal. Now, but this is, they are trying to kill him. And then knowing that is okay because everybody hates cynicism. Conan O'Brien, who I think is a brilliant comedian who I respect and love, and everything he's done I love. But he said one day, this is one moment I had a little disagreement with him, but he is such an iconic, legendary guy. He just, everything he says, he goes, yeah, I bet parts of what he's saying I hate cynicism. It's my least favorite emotion when it doesn't make sense. I understand what he's saying and where he's coming from, but I've always valued a little bit of cynicism. I'll tell you why. Keep you alive. Trouble. Too much delusion isn't ascribing motives to people that are positive.
Calm the evacuees. The transports will be ready any moment now. The Republic will not lose Terrace.
No one's leaving this spaceport alive.
We're going to kill every last one of you.
Darth Gravis is amazingly predictable. This is a trap, and you walked right into it. The evacuation transports that arrived weren't empty. They brought friends, ready to defend Terrace. Perhaps you're familiar with them?
It's past time I ended you.
This is it! Defend Terrace with your lives!
Sure you'll be all right?
I'm the only one here. It's just you and me. You and me, Busteroo.
Too bad there aren't more of them. I was just getting warmed up. And what do we have here? Ah, Seric's failsafe code. Just punch this in, and there. The power grid's overloading. So long, Republic.
With the Republic gone, nothing will save this planet from destruction.
You and Gravis can celebrate together. Meanwhile, I'll... Wait a second. Those transports that brought Seric's backup, they're loaded with civilians. They're actually trying to open the hangar. They'll escape the explosion.
Lock the hangar doors. Make this spaceport their grave.
My pleasure. Too bad we can't stick around to watch. Anyway, this place is about to explode. Much as I'd like to see you disintegrated, I suggest you run. Or stay. See if I care.
The galaxy's a big place. Try not to get killed.
I can take care of myself just fine.
That else guy? That's so fucking cool, dude. Can I jump from here? Badass.
Zarek's gone, and his spaceport is in flames.
Excellent. Those assault cannons hit my men hard, but they're pushing back to take the base. Darth Gravis will want to hear the details.
That I do. But first, I want to personally thank our champion. Master Sarek's death marks the end of the Republic's planetary restoration. Soon, Taris will be completely ruined. A tribute to the power of the Sith, the Empire, and you.
Glad to hear it.
Your victory will be long remembered. With the Republic crushed, we can destroy this planet in peace, especially now that Thana's gone on to torment another world. Thanks to your actions, Taris will stand as a shining testament to the Empire's supremacy. And like Darth Malak, you'll be remembered as the Sith responsible for securing this planet's destruction.
Isn't good. Oh, you don't know why someone's trying to help you. You don't know why. It could be because they're a lovely, amazing person, and they just get off on helping people. It might be because they like the position that they're in versus the one that you're in. They might like that dynamic of being kind of above you. They might want to control you. There's all kinds of reasons. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take help or you should be overly paranoid, but like, especially when it comes to American corporations, I think maybe a little bit of cynicism when it comes to narratives about war and peace, a little bit of cynicism. When a new credit card line is launched where they go, it's no money to no interest, you're the winner, 27 months, no payment, like, be a little cynical about these things. So when McDonald's goes, we're gonna open this new concept, be a little cynical. They're trying to kill you. They have something called McPops. They're little donuts filled with peanut butter and Nutella. They have a spicy queso sandwich, creamy avocado tomatillo sandwich, pretzel bites, egg McMuffins, McFlurries, caramel fudge brownie sundaes, cookies, caramel fudge brownie, the twist cone, savory hash brown bites. But make no mistake, the star of the menu will be the drinks. That is what they want. They're trying to kill you now, primarily with liquid. It is easier, they can make it easier, it's cheaper, it gets you addicted. You're addicted, and you go, fuck it.
I'm unfollow.
I want a s'mores cold brew. That's how I want to start my day, with a churro frappe. And when they come out with the nutrition information and what's in these, make no mistake, these will be, it will be a cup of
I was just
poison.
wondering what I could do to
It will be sugar. Do they have any of it? Let's see if we can find any of it.
all authorized destinations.
Let's see the churro frappe first. What is the churro frappe working with in terms of
610 calories.
Only 610 calories for a drink. 610 calories on the churro frappe. Do we have the breakdown of sugar?
Not yet. It's proprietary. They're not going to give out ingredients.
Yeah, they're not going to. Right. Okay. So this is their new. By the way, it represents a shift. Fast food over the next months, weeks, years is going to move away from red meat. They're going to move away into things that feel healthy that are not. This is what's going to happen. McDonald's is the most powerful and biggest company. The fact that they're doing a drink restaurant shows you that the future is probably going to be in things like that. They can kill you in many different ways. They don't need to kill you the way they've always killed you. They can end your life slowly in many different ways. And the way that they're going to do it is by opening a Starbucks for people that film fight videos after school. Because that's who goes to McDonald's, a lot of people. McDonald's knows where their locations are. Yes, some of them are in the suburbs. Some of them are in the city, the interstate. And what are you gonna drink when a bitch pops off to another bitch and they start beating each other and 30 kids with iPhones are filming it? You know what you're gonna drink? A popping pear slush. As they wipe the blood off the floor of the Bronx Grand Concourse McDonald's, you are going to hear the slurp of a churro frappe being finished at Cosmix. When the bloody floor of a Cosmix is being cleaned with ammonia by an immigrant who doesn't speak English, someone will have a cold brew s'mores, and you'll hear the clink of the ice. This is marketed to people that just want to get high. It's about getting high. And McDonald's is like, we just need to run these. Do we have any art or any renderings of what these will look like inside? Where will people drink the sour cherry energy burst or the tropical spice aid? Where will they drink that? When you are typing Free Palestine onto X, you will be drinking a tropical spice aid.
Travel route is confirmed.
No insides yet.
No insides yet. Blue and yellow, very interesting. So this is coming. This is coming.
It's Sonic. It looks like Sonic.
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to move away from what they've made their money doing, which is beef and red meat. And they know that the people that are still into red meat are people that are going, oh, it has benefits, keto, carnivore, whatever. Now, obviously, poor people still eat burgers. But it's that vast middle people that don't have enough money for a ribeye that's grass-fed, and they're not totally fucked where they're just eating White Castle. It's that vast middle class that they're the ones we try everything out on. They're the ones we yell at them all the time. You know, don't use too much toilet paper. How long are you in the shower for? It's the middle class. The rich do whatever they want, and the poor just try to survive. The middle class, they're the ones we try out all our shit on. Every guilt trip gets delivered directly to the doors of the middle class, usually by the rich. They go, this is what you should care about, you mouth breather. So the middle class right now, they're being beaten down by don't eat red meat's bad, climate change, red meat, climate change, boom, boom, but it's in every article that the Times is putting out, the New Yorker, even the Journal, Wall Street Journal, all of these publications are putting out the idea that red meat, draw a line to climate change, draw a line to we're all flooded and dead. That burger, draw a line to your mouth. And rich people don't give a shit. They own all the shit that's poisoning the planet. They don't care. And poor people are like, I have $3. What do you want me to do? I have $3. I gotta eat. I got an 8-hour shift. I've been broke. I was a tour guide in New York City. When I got off, I had $1 pizza. I had no money. What was I gonna do? Have a wild caught salmon for $38? It's not gonna happen. You don't have a lot of time. When you're poor, you're broke. Here's the hot thing that's cheap for you. So what McDonald's is smartly realizing is that this middle class that they still have to try to lure into their restaurants. They have to lure the middle class into their restaurants, along with the lower class. That's why they have the, all the tropical spicy. I mean, that's being aimed at people that don't have a lot of money. And then they have the blueberry green tea. This is green tea. Hibiscus. This is the hibiscus green tea. They have all of those things because those things are aimed and targeted at kind of the little white, the white woman who's having a hibiscus. And I went to Cosmix, I have my hibiscus, blueberry, green tea, and man, I wish Hamas would just tie me to a tree. I think about just a couple of Arab men tie me to the back of a truck. I just sit there with my hibiscus tea. And I sexualize monster terrorists because I'm bored. And that's what...
What happens now?
Hold a moment, please. Colonel Sarab, Commander, 75th Legion. Honor me with your time, my lord, and I will honor you in turn with a unique invitation from the incomparable Lord Vargo. Thanks to his unparalleled intellect, My master has uncovered a dangerous Republic plot unfolding as we speak. He has deemed you worthy of joining us in destroying them.
Word of my power is spreading.
Lord Vargo is well informed. He knows precisely who can be relied upon. You fought for Darth Gravis and saw the Republic's pathetic reconstruction. It shows nothing of the tremendous resources they received. My master determined that the Republic used those resources not only for rebuilding, but to construct a secret weapon. And my master is never wrong.
A project like that must have had witnesses. And I'm very good at extracting information.
My master suggested interrogations as well, but we've yet to find anyone with useful information. Our enemies have been very careful indeed. Lord Vargo determined the focus of the Republic's efforts prior to the invasion. We were deployed to search the area. Elite enemy commandos attacked us on arrival. We will find the Republic's secret there. With your help.
Let's hope you're right about that.
Lord Vargo does not make mistakes. A speeder will take you to Legion Base Camp, where Lord Vargo directs our operations. My master will show you the beauty of his vision, and you will join our Legion in honor and victory.
Let's get it done.
Travel route is confirmed. Displaying all authorized destinations. Travel route is confirmed.
All these colonists. It's sickening, my lord. I'm Dr. Corvus, with Alien Control. I'm here to solve the Cathar problem.
What is it you do, Dr.
Corvus. I analyze hostile species, then I break them. The Cathar's strength lies in their spirit. 9 times out of 10, they'll fight to their dying breath. So I've developed a serum that dampens the Cathar's inherent aggression. Less fight, more flight.
Could this serum be used on other species?
Sadly, no. Even the Bothans, for all their biological similarities, only develop a small rash when exposed to the formula. As of 26 minutes ago, my serum is approved and ready for a trial demonstration. The sight of their strongest warriors reduced to mewling runts ought to demoralize the Cathar nicely. Care to do the honors?
What exactly does this entail?
I've prepared several special darts. The serum will kick in moments after it enters the Cathar's bloodstream. After that, I'd recommend waiting until they're good and pathetic before you finish them off. For effect.
My lord, you must stop them. They are about to destroy my precious children.
What's happened to your children?
My children! My beautiful Rakghouls, the children of all Sith. Those marvelous, precious creatures. The Sith created them, and Darth Malak gave them this beautiful kingdom in which to multiply and grow strong. But now, the Republic is trying to steal Taris from them and destroy them. We must protect them.
Just show me where the fun is.
The cruel Dr. Vernon leads the Republic's experiments to eliminate the Rakghouls, destroy his equipment, wipe out his research, kill him.
Lord Vargo.
With respect, please refrain from disturbing my master. He is meditating deeply and dislikes interruptions. I'm Lieutenant Trell. Lord Vargo has authorized me to relay his instructions.
Let's get straight to the point.
Our hunt for the Republic's secret project is opposed by elite Special Forces soldiers. We must annihilate them to accomplish our goal. Our troops have encircled the region, maintaining pressure from all sides. While the enemy is thus distracted, you will strike directly at their forces and obliterate them.
What about searching for the Republic's project?
As you assault the enemy, you will also deploy small probes to help us pinpoint exactly where the Republic is hiding this secret weapon they've been constructing.
I can get behind that.
There is one other matter. The leader of the Republic Defenders, Major Camden. His death could only speed our progress. Camden coordinates his soldiers from a heavily fortified base. It's practically impenetrable. If you were to hijack a Republic speeder, though, you might be able to get inside.
Perhaps this Camden will know something about what the Republic's been up to out here.
Camden will sooner die than reveal his secrets. He's a dangerous man, made even more dangerous by his cyborg enhancements. Be cautious, my lord. Here are the probes you'll need to deploy. My fellow soldiers can tell you best how to strike at the enemy's forces. Good luck.
This is what CosMC is going to do. But it does represent kind of that significant shift in what fast food has to do, because they have to lure you in, they have to hit you over the head, and Americans,
Smell that. Scorched men, smoldering vegetation, and dissipating heat. Only victors get to savor that smell. Victors, and men thankful they're still breathing at all. They're out there right now, clinging desperately to the hope they'll drive us back. They have no idea how wrong they are.
Who's out there right now?
Remnants of the battalion we smashed here are lurking in the wilderness, hounding our every step. That ends now. My men revived a Republic soldier left behind when we decimated their main force. He's generously explained how their people are signaling each other. All that remains is to assemble the small elite unit that will have the honor of the final stroke.
Why not hit the stragglers with overwhelming force?
They would spot any large troop movements and go to ground. We need to lure them out. The enemy has short-range transmitters hidden in the region to broadcast vital alerts. We can use them to send an all-clear, then eliminate everyone who responds. We've got one opportunity to finish this. Failure will mean enduring guerrilla strikes every step we take. Your participation would make victory certain.
Let's get it done.
These are the coordinates of the transmitters. Make those curs wish they'd never been born.
It's that old adage, right? It's like the rich, the poor kind of get away, but it's the middle class that we experiment on. It's an experiment. Feeding people sugar like this is an experiment, and we're going to experiment on the lab rats in the American suburbs. That's why this is happening in Bolingbrook, Illinois. We go, this isn't happening in Malibu. They're not doing this on Park Avenue in Manhattan. They're doing it in Bolingbrook, Illinois. They're like, when you get off work at the plant, whatever plant's even left, or you're on your way to be a 5th grade teacher, you want to stop at Cosmic's and get a churro frappe to just give yourself the buzz, the sugar high to stare at these children and get through the day. That's really what it comes down to. You know, everyone's going to, I went to the event. It's so good to get out there and see live stuff. Concerts, sporting events, comedy shows, Broadway shows. I just want to get out there. How do you do it? I use the game time. I get the best tickets. Like 3rd row. Easy. Game time's the only ticketing app. God. I'm telling you, if you're not using the Game Time app, I don't get it. Because it's so hard, these different, you don't know. People go, am I getting ripped off? All the time people buy tickets to my shows and go, why are they so expensive? I go, you're using the wrong thing. You're not going directly to the source. It's so difficult. You want the tickets, you want them now. You want to pay a good price, you don't want to get hosed. It's the Game Time app. It's easy. They have deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. You want to fill last minute seats. Football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, more. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code TIM for $20 off your first purchase. I'm telling you, I use this now. I go to a lot of things, I take friends to things. It is the only way, it is the easiest way to get great tickets to anything. It's such an easy interface, easy to use, it's really If you find tickets in the same section in row for last, Game Time will credit you 110% of the tickets. Tell you how confident they are. Really, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it, okay? They've done their work. You're not going to find it. You're going to find it? You're not. Why don't you let them do what they're good at? And you do what you're good at, sitting on your ass. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code TIM for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code TIM for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Everybody's trying to protect themselves online from the government or from people, these hackers, these people that are buying your data, selling your data, harvesting your data, your banking information, identity theft. ExpressVPN is the move. We all have it and love it and use it. It works on all of my devices, whether I'm on my phone, tablet, laptop, whatever, I'm always protected. Best of all, ExpressVPN is super easy to use. All I do is tap one button and turn it on and I'm protected. This holiday season, give yourself the gift of privacy. If you're not using a VPN, you're behind the times, because everybody is. It's a great way to protect yourself. Most of us are doing more and more online. Our banking, our dating, our living. So how are we going to protect ourselves? You have a door on your house, don't you? Do you have a door? Well, if you have a door, take yourself off the naughty list with the #1 VPN. Go to ExpressVPN.com/Tim Dillon. That's ExpressVPN.com/Tim Dillon. If you have a door on your house. If you don't have a door on your house, then don't do it, because you live dangerously. But if you have a fucking door on your house or apartment, if you have a door, go to ExpressVPN.com/Tim Dillon. This helps the show. Supporting our sponsors helps our show, but it really helps you. I don't need you. You need ExpressVPN, because I do need you a little. But here's ExpressVPN. And you go, oh my God, this is what happens when you don't use ExpressVPN. You want to hear? Oh my, honey, where's our son? Our son! Where is he? He was crying a minute ago while I was fixing our tree. Oh, I don't hear him anymore. Well, maybe go check on him. Oh my God, what are you saying? Our son has been stolen, our baby son? How did people know we had a baby son and where we live? Is it, honey? Did you not get ExpressVPN? No, I'm not mad. I'm asking you, I'm not mad. I'm asking you if you got ExpressVPN, or if you didn't, and now that's why our son has been stolen. The namesake, the heir, the person who's gonna carry on my name. Did you get, look me in the eye. You did it, and that's why we have a stolen son. So that's what, see, this is, want to avoid that? Do you want to avoid that? And if you want to avoid that, if you want to avoid literally your children being stolen, go to expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. expressvpn.com/Tim Dillon. Everybody's in the holiday season trying to get lucky. Here's how you get lucky. Always be ready with BlueChew.com. BlueChew. Same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, a fraction of the cost. Shipped to your home. Very discreet package. You're not going to be embarrassed. You don't have to go to the doctor or the pharmacy, long lines waiting. One of the specialists at BlueChew will basically go through everything with you. It's very easy. They're made in the USA. These tablets are prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. We've got a great deal for you. Try BlueChew free when you use our promo code TD at checkout. That's $5 shipping. Try it. See what happens. You'll have the best sex of your life. Maybe even just by yourself, but it'll be great. BlueChew.com, promo code TD to receive your first month free. BlueChew.com, promo code TD. It's got to be ready. You got to be ready. It's readiness. Be aware. Be ready for action. How? Eat your best. Prime. How do you stay prime? BlueChew. It is a chewable tablet that makes your penis hard. If you don't understand that, I'm saying it as plainly as I can. Chewable tablet. Ooh, look at my pee-pee is hard now. You want a hard pee-pee? Go to BlueChew.com, promo code TD. Receive your first month free. You're being treated like a Rockefeller. You're sitting there with your free dick pills. Promo code TD. BlueChew.com. TD. I want to talk about this drug dealer that Trump let out. Under Trump, they charged him on an assault on a teenager. A drug dealer who's released under former President Donald Trump's sweep of criminal justice reform has been charged with first-degree assault on a teenager. William Dredden was indicted along with his wife, Tiffany Harrison, in connection with their alleged involvement in assault outside of Baltimore High School. Authorities said that the couple accompanied their 15-year-old son to the Carver Vocational Technical High School on October 27th and allegedly joined their son in the assault of another teenager, during which their son pistol whipped the victim. Well, listen, do you want parents to be involved in their kids' lives or not? Do you want people invested in what their kids are doing or not? Yes or yes? If I'm going to pistol whip someone at my high school, and my father and mother come with me and attack that person, that's a family memory I'll have for the rest of my life. I don't know what's going on in these inner city schools. We always hear about them. There's issues, I imagine. But I'll tell you this, everyone always says the parents are not involved. This is what we hear all the time. The parents are MIA. They're not around. The kids are running around doing all their own stuff. Well, here is a situation where a father and a mother decide to go to the school with their son to pistol whip someone. And you know what? I think it's nice. I think it's actually good. I think it's pretty fucking nice that a couple of weeks before Christmas, someone that Trump let out of jail with his wife goes to support their son in a pistol whipping. I think it's nice. He secured early release from federal prison for... Isn't this good, letting everyone out of jail? I think it's great. It seems to be working well. This no bail seems to be working well, where you commit a crime and they ask you nicely not to, again. It seems well. It seems great. It seems like it's a good idea to just let everyone out of jail. I don't know. Dredden and Harrison each face 15 charges, including first-degree assault, reckless endangerment, and use of a firearm in the commission of a crime of violence. Records show that Dredden had secured early release from federal prison 14 months before the October incident, after making a claim under the First Step Act, which was the most important criminal justice reform legislation passed in a decade. Baltimore police told Newsweek that Dredden had previously been arrested multiple times for drug-related charges. Dredden's criminal history is first reported by Baltimore TV. The bipartisan legislation, which aimed to cut unnecessarily long federal sentences and improve conditions in federal prisons, was widely supported by both Democrats and Republicans. Lovely. Although Trump ran a tough on crime campaign when he was elected to the White House in 2016, years we all think it's unfair that people that sold drugs have to spend their entire lives in prison. We all pretty much think non-violent drug offenders end up fucked with these, federal mandatory minimum sentences. Rockefeller drug laws in New York, an example. These are not great. However, not everyone, and I'm gonna, people aren't gonna love this. People aren't gonna love this. This is not nice to you. Are you ready for this? Get ready. Listen closely. Listen closely. Pull over. Pull into Cosmix. Get your frappe. Get ready for this. Not all non-violent drug offenders are non-violent. I know. Bummer. Not all non-violent drug offenders are going to be non-violent. It's just what it is.
Are you sure you'll be
It's
all
what
right?
it is. Some of them will be. Some of them are. Some of them are lovely and great and they got caught up and whatever. But some of them are going to push through the 15-year-old at school. I don't know. Well, part of freedom is going with your son to pistol whip the kid at school, I guess. And, I guess, you're going to get arrested for that. But, a lot of this criminal justice reform, like let's make the prison safer and nicer, and it's all needed. We need better prisons and that rehabilitate people and don't just throw them into these boxes and all these COs just start fight clubs with the people, which is a decent way to stay in shape. Fighting is now more mainstream and everybody loves it. So I don't know why they are always, everybody's always like, they started a fight club. It's like, well, it's, but here's my point. My point is this. There should be more rehabilitative, programs in prison. People come out of prison, they don't know what to do. But this is also going to happen. If you fling open the gates of prisons and let people out, some of them are going to go to the school and pistol whip the kids with their children. Now, again, this is a family that has chosen to act together. That's not nothing. This is kind of nice. We always hear about the inner cities that the families are not together. I'm not making that up. This is what we hear. I'm not involved, but so don't come at me and be like, this is coded racing. It's not. It's not. I hear that there are issues in the inner cities with the families not being together. I hear it. I'm not experiencing it. This is not the case. This isn't the case. This is a father and mother who love their child enough to go to jail for him. Because they pistol whipped a 15-year-old, and Donald Trump let them out of jail to appear for whatever reason. I don't know. Right? Donald Trump trying to secure the rapper vote, I guess. I don't know. He had some of it already. Ann Coulter and a lot of his people that really loved him were like, what are you doing here? What is this? Why is this happening? But, here's the deal. In a bubble, this is kind of fine. If it wasn't the prevailing attitude of all the inner cities to just fling open jail cells and let everybody out, if there was a way to look at this in a bubble and you go, yeah, this shit happens. This is a perfect shit happens story. And the people that are pro the reforms will say it shit happens. It's amazing what is and isn't shit happens, by the way. If a girl at college is sexually assaulted by a white guy, it's not shit happens. It is a Orwellian structure that is oppressed and there's all of that. But if something like this happens, it's not shit happens. This is,
My lord, good to see you. Cut down any pirates yet? Group of them thought they had me. One shoots me in the leg, then I whip out my combustion grenades and boom, crispy. Takes a lot to bring down those infected pirates, but they got nothing on me.
What do you mean, infected?
Touch of the rat ghoul plague. My team was on a mission to shut down this pirate outpost. Raise and rage. Rat ghouls got to them first. Now the pirates are slobbering crazies. Half rat, half scavenger. Killed my team before we could finish our mission, but I'm making them pay.
Make those pirates hurt for what they did.
I plan on it. Much as I love killing pirates, the mission stands. My leg's too numb to finish it, but maybe you could help. All you'd need to do is overload the power generators. Crank on enough, and you'll fry the pirates' equipment. Then nobody can call the camp home.
Let's get it done.
Make 'em hurt, and I'll blast some pirate scum in your honor. Just kick the pirates' generators to the highest setting. Once enough power's up, their whole infrastructure's toast.
I'm sorry, this one would be shit happen. This one would be like, well, hey, you know, people, they have a bad morning. Some of them have a bad morning and they just pistol whip their son's enemy at school. So it really just depends. It's both sides do it. Republicans do shit happens. Democrats do shit happens. Part of our country is deciding what is and isn't shit happens. That's part of the whole country. That's part of the entire thing. Is it shit happens when this happens, or is it you made that shit happen? Or shit is happening for a reason that you could potentially change, fix, alleviate this burden somehow. And I'm no expert on any of this stuff. It is interesting because this is what everybody believes now. I go out with people, I talk to people, I chat with people, we all talk, and they go, it's the criminal justice system in America is corrupt, it's unfair. Those things aren't untrue. And it's certainly been cruel to African Americans, certainly been cruel to the city, certainly it is all of that is true. No one's denying it. The problem then becomes, how do you fix it without destroying public safety? That's the issue. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. How do you fix it without people pistol whipping 15-year-olds at school? Which again, I don't know if I'm against or for. I don't know what the kid did. I'm just saying that's the concern. How do you fix it without destroying public safety? It doesn't seem to be working. San Fran, it's not really working in LA. More home invasions now than there have been. Go to any party, at a Christmas party in LA, people just, you know, they come in, they say, a house on my block was robbed. A guy got followed home, I got a gun today. Nobody in LA is that creative to make this stuff up. If they did, the shows would be better. They're not that creative. This actually happened. You can hear what's going on in an area by just talking to people. You know, conspiracy and agenda, these are all liberals. They're in Los Angeles, liberals in the entertainment business. None of them follow it up, by the way, with, we need harsher penalties. They're too dumb, they don't even understand what's going on. They just tell you what they see. My friend got followed home and a gun to his head. They took his Lamborghini. And then some of them now have started to go, yeah, maybe we need maybe people need to go to jail a little bit. But you know, this idea that you can just let everybody out might not work. Nobody is willing to admit, this is my favorite thing about politicians, they're all certain of the results of everything they do. None of them go, yeah, we don't know. We don't know. None of them. Everybody goes, this will reduce the... No one has the foresight to go, yeah, we don't, you know, there'd be a mixed bag out there. Be a mixed bag out there if we let everybody out. Some people will live lovely lives, very productive lives. A few people just kids in school. We don't know. We don't know. You can't sell that to people. You can't sell it to people. You can't. So you just have to go, you know, you have to go, well, this will reduce the unfair treatment. You know, and you go, okay, well, yeah, that sounds good. I don't want people treated unfairly. And then the flip side of that is, oh, maybe you're tied up in a house. Some of those people that support a lot of this stuff are, and it is kind of funny to be tied up in Bel Air. It's just funny. It's not funny. It is human comedy. You support a lot of this stuff, and to be tied up, you know, you're in a chair in Bel Air, and they've tied you up, and you're sitting there. And you were like one of those people all in. You were all in for this. You were all in for letting everybody out. And you go, I'm always in for what's happening. And then you're tied up in the chair. There's an element of comedy. And I hope the people that are tied up realize it. I hope they can laugh at it. I hope they can enjoy it for the irony that it is. It is an irony. Ironies abound. A lot of people were anti-COVID vaccines, and then they got COVID and died. And maybe the vaccine would not have helped them. I don't know. But there's an irony to that. A little bit. There's certainly an irony to people that believed it wasn't even real, and then it killed them. They're in the bed being like... And it's a country we can't even appreciate irony anymore. That's the sad thing. We can't appreciate irony. We're all getting too dumb to even know what it is. And we're all becoming such fundamentalists. There's no irony in Iran, for example, amongst the people that are all, you know, there's no irony amongst the mullahs. Certainly there's maybe some irony in the population, if they can get away with it. That's what happens when you become a fundamentalist country. You know, you basically don't understand irony. You don't understand that concept. But it's got to be ironic to be tied up in a home in LA while people go ransack through your things. I mean, there's something funny about that, you know? Has to be slightly ironic to be the principal of a school that probably supported this reform, as, you know, sure, there's many good reasons to support it. And then they father could do something to whipping the kids. There's got to be an irony there. You have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it a little bit. You have to enjoy it. Irony should be like, you don't want to poison yourself with it, where you become just this weird freak. A lot of irony poisoning in the mid-2000s in places like Brooklyn, Echo Park. We get it. Too much of it's a bad thing, like the churro frappe. But a little of it is healthy. A little of it is nice. It's tasty. Have a little bit of it, you get a little high, you try it out. Oh, this is what... There's a little bit of it that I think is nice, and it shows that you're not a fundamentalist psychopath. You can kind of go, well, you know, well, hey, I guess, you know. I now understand some of those things I didn't understand. I have a little understanding now. Not a great one, you know? You know, no. It's ironic that Panera killed someone with their lemonade recently. And McDonald's goes, we'll kill a lot more people. Panera killed someone with this caffeinated lemonade they have. Some poor guy with a disorder went and he had a couple of these Panera lemonades and just exploded. He was sitting there in the suburbs, and this poor guy exploded. They face second wrongful death lawsuit over caffeinated charged lemonade. This is the second person that Panera's taken down with their charged lemonade. Sad. The lawsuit alleges Panera knew or should have known that charged lemonade could pose risks, particularly to children, pregnant, breastfeeding women, and individuals sensitive to caffeine. Charged lemonade, which has more caffeine in its large size than 12-ounce Red Bull and 16-ounce Monster Energy combined, wow,
I did as you said.
has been the center of legal scrutiny for that. So I like this Panera, by the way, which is a basic bitch
Unfortunately,
soup
our problems
restaurant.
aren't
Is
over.
like, we gotta
While
get
you were
people
gone, I had some rat
suited.
ghoul visitors.
We gotta get
a lot
people
of them.
jacked.
I blasted the racks, but there's more out
Jacked.
there. Won't be long before
The
they run out
lawsuit
of
filed
pirate
in
meals
Delaware
and come
disclosed
looking
that
for
Brown had ordered
imperial
Panera's
meat.
charged lemonade at least 7 times over the course of 2 weeks in
Let
September
the
and
rat
October.
ghouls feast on the Republic.
Maybe in
And
time,
that was
my
it.
lord,
That was the
but
last thing
first,
that
we better
motherfucker did
control
on this
their
floating
numbers.
rock was get that
Rats hide
charged
out in their
lemonade from
tunnels,
Panera
but I
7
have Wyland
motherfucking
brand acoustic
times.
beacons. They make a
That's
sound
what
that's
I mean.
music
When I
to
say
rat
these
ghoul
places
ears.
are trying to kill you,
Use
I'm
the
not being
beacons near their
hyperbolic.
tunnels,
They
and the
genuinely
rat
are.
hunters will come running.
But McDonald's
into
is,
your
well, whereas
lightsaber.
Panera will do
I'll do everything
You
in
know.
my power.
Here are the
person here and
beacons.
there. McDonald's is
Set
in
them
for
off
the
near the
long
rat
haul.
ghoul tunnels and get ready for a
Cause
fight.
MCs, I don't know if it'll succeed or not, but it might. I don't know. They're in it for the long haul. You know, so much of me, as in closing, has been thinking recently about TikTok. About so much of what I've thought of as I've done this show for many years, and as I've paid attention to culture very closely, I pay attention to the beginning and the end of things.